Chapter 2366. On the other side of the battlefield, Wang Jian had already summoned the war god's fury. It had mostly recovered from the damage from its battle with the wind god, and it floated in the air, giving off a massive aura. Below, Wang Jian led the 3 billion Qin army. They were like a black ocean, giving off a cold and austere aura, causing the surroundings to become icy and oppressive. The two sides did not say anything and directly started to fight. The 10,000 war saint beasts behind the Metal Alliance city walls aimed some of their cannons at the war god's fury in the sky and others at Qin's soldiers below. Boom! 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 Rays of white light containing massive power shot out, lighting up the entire sky. Terrifying shockwaves covered the sky, causing the countless creatures below to feel their hairs stand on end and feel fear. The war god's fury directly activated a massive defensive barrier, blocking in front of Qin's soldiers. The countless Qin soldiers also gave off powerful auras, forming a defensive barrier. Bang! 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 Massive explosions sounded out as countless rays of light slammed into the war god's fury defensive barrier and the defensive barrier formed by the army, resulting in massive explosions. Terrifying shockwaves rippled out and the ground instantly cracked. The war god's fury had taken the most damage, and there were many cracks on the defensive barrier. The defensive barrier formed by the soldiers below also had some cracks, but there were not many casualties. The Jin family's leader was a cold-looking middle-aged man, and seeing that the first wave of attacks had not caused much damage, his expression became serious. If they could not defend, they could only rely on the other two alliances to support them or attack Qin's soldiers to force Qin's soldiers to retreat. He did not know that the other leaders of the Water and Forest Alliance also had such thought. The battle between Qin's army and the other alliance had been going on at the same time, and they did not know that the other alliance had already been broken through by Qin's army. Now, it was Great Qin's war god's fury's turn to attack. Massive cannons and smaller cannons aimed at the city walls in front of them. Boom! Boom! Massive beams of light containing terrifying power shot out incredibly quickly, seeming to explode the sky as they shot towards the defensive walls. They seemed to be able to destroy everything. Bang! Bang! Countless small cannons shot out bullets of light, giving off powerful auras as they shot towards the defensive walls, giving off a terrifying feeling. The Alliance's side directly activated a large array, and a large amount of alchemy power gathered, forming huge circular metal shields in front of the city walls, giving off a sturdy aura. Bang! 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 Massive explosions sounded out in all directions as terrifying shockwaves spread out, forming a massive gale that blew out in all directions. The huge metal shields were also shattered by the beams of light. Countless fragments shot out in all directions, unable to withstand this wave of attacks from the war god's fury. This wave of attacks was a full-powered attack from the war god's fury. Not only did the massive cannons shoot out beams of light, but there were also countless smaller cannons that shot out beams of light. The Metal Alliance had somewhat underestimated the war god's fury's power. However, most of the force was still blocked by the metal shield, so it did not suffer much damage. Kill! After breaking through the Metal Alliance's defenses, Wang Jian immediately gave the order to attack. Countless Qin soldiers loudly roared and gave off ferocious auras as they rushed forwards. On the Metal Alliance's side, soldiers walked to the front and vigorously threw out the metal spears in their hands. The metal spears gave off immense power as they shot into the air and alchemy formations appeared. Swish, 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 massive sounds of the air being torn could be heard as countless spears containing sharp power shot out from the alchemy formations and rained down towards the Qin's soldiers. The Qin's soldiers immediately released countless traces of alchemy power, which gathered at the front and formed a massive bronze shield. Clang, clang, clang! The metal spears gave off immense power as they slammed against the massive bronze shield, giving off sounds of metal colliding and causing sparks to fly everywhere. The massive bronze shield blocked the countless spears, and only many holes appeared on it. The Qin soldiers raised the massive bronze shield and gave off a powerful aura as they continued to rush towards the city walls. The Metal Alliance's god beasts aimed their cannons at the charging Qin soldiers, and massive beams of light shot towards the Qin soldiers. The war god's fury quickly moved to the front of the army and once again unleashed a massive defensive barrier, blocking the attacks for the Qin soldiers. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as terrifying destructive power continuously spread out. This time, the war god's fury's defensive barrier was directly shattered, and the shield that the Qin soldiers had condensed was also blasted apart. By now, the Qin soldiers had rushed to the front of the city walls and officially started to attack. Swish, 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 arrows shot towards the city walls from below, drawing out arcs in the air as they tore through the air. The war god's fury's cannons were all aimed at the Metal Alliance's soldiers below. The Metal Alliance's soldiers were given a big fright and immediately started to defend. Massive cannons were activated, once again forming massive metal shields. Bang! 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 Countless beams of light containing terrifying power shot out, and the massive metal shields were not able to defend for long before being pierced through. The beams of light exploded on the city walls, sending the Metal Alliance's soldiers flying back. Blood flew everywhere as cries continuously sounded out. At that moment, Wang Jian ordered people to bring out massive dragon-slaying ballistae that gave off massive savage auras. There were 100-meter-long arrows on them, and there were disaster pearls embedded within them. Boom! 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 The massive arrows turned into rays of light as they shot out incredibly quickly, tearing through the sky with unstoppable force. They landed on the city walls and the god beasts with terrifying power. Some of the arrows exploded out with countless traces of flames that ferociously spread out, burning many of the Alliance soldiers to death. Some of the arrows exploded out with massive chilling auras that froze the soldiers. Some arrows gave off countless bolts of lightning and pierced through god beasts with terrifying power. Some arrows exploded out with countless sharp gales, slicing apart god beasts. After receiving this wave of attacks, the Metal Alliance's soldiers suffered great losses. Pained cries continuously sounded out, and the city walls started to fall into chaos. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the war god's fury gave off a massive war god's might that weighed down on the countless Metal Alliance soldiers. The countless Metal Alliance soldiers felt their bodies sink, and their movements became less nimble and their strength decreased. Chapter 2367. Using this wave of attacks, Qin's soldiers rushed to the bottom of the city walls and used all sorts of methods, such as ladders, flying chains, climbing, and leaping up the city walls. The two sides officially started fighting. Even though Qin's side only had 3 billion soldiers, with the Victory Fury and Disaster Pearl's power, they still had a great advantage. A while later, Qin's soldiers reached the city walls and started fighting with the allied army. Arg! Pained cries continuously sounded out as blood flew everywhere. The sounds of weapons clashing continuously sounded out, and the scene became quite chaotic. People continuously died on both sides, and more corpses appeared on the city walls. By now, the allied army still had some ability to resist against Qin. After dealing a heavy blow, they found out that the Water and Forest Alliance had been defeated and that the Earth and Waterflower Alliance had not sent out their soldiers. Hearing this news, their minds seemed to explode and went blank. They felt that the Metallic Alliance was about to perish. The most powerful alliance had been destroyed, so how could they, the weakest alliance, be a match for them? Looking at the ferocious Qin soldiers and the massive war god's fury in the sky, the Metallic Alliance's leaders did not persist and gave the order to retreat. The Allied army completely retreated, causing them to lose all ability to resist. Qin's soldiers ferociously chased after them. Wang Jian gave a trace of a smile. He had also received news that Qin had defeated the Water and Forest Alliance. Now that the Metallic Alliance had retreated, it was announced that Qin was the victor of this battle. Wang Jian had his soldiers rest before splitting into a few armies and heading towards the alchemist families. The alchemist families quickly packed their things and retreated in fear. The entire region fell into chaos, and cries sounded out everywhere. After hearing about this, the Earth and Water Flower Alliance was not surprised at all. They had long since known that this would happen, or else they would not have signed a contract with Qin. Now, it had been proven that their decision had not been wrong. If they had not signed a contract with Qin, this would have been the outcome. Moreover, no one knew Qin's true strength. Only they knew how terrifying Qin was. Qin's soldiers quickly broke through the alchemist families and took down the two allied regions. After successfully destroying two powerful allied factions, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile. He sat on the throne and listened to the generals below report their gains from this battle. This time, when Qin attacked the water forest forces, he gained a total of 8 billion people, 700 million alchemy soldiers surrendered to Qin, and the number of holy war beasts reached 1,200. On the side of the Metal League, they gained 3 billion people, 400 million alchemy soldiers surrendered to Qin, and more than 700 war sacred beasts. Most of the alchemist families ran too fast. They should have been prepared to run away if they couldn't defeat the enemies. That was why Qin only got this much. However, this harvest could not be said to be small. Altogether, 11 billion people were harvested, 1 billion alchemy soldiers were harvested, and the number of war sacred beasts was close to 2,000. With these gains, the population of Qin in the alchemy world reached more than 30 billion. Excluding Qin's soldiers, the number of alchemy soldiers reached 6 billion. In the end, the number of Saint War beasts increased by another 2,000. Now, there were 5,000 of them, and they could be used even more effectively. If things continued like this, Qin would be able to establish a kingdom-level faction in the alchemy world, with alchemy soldiers and alchemy commoners as the main faction. As for the losses, Zhao Fu's side had suffered great losses. They had killed 2 billion or so alchemy soldiers and lost 400 million or so Qin's soldiers. Wang Jian's side had suffered fewer losses. They had killed 500 million God Refiner soldiers and had lost less than 100 million Great Qin soldiers. The losses were still within the range that Zhao Fu could bear. If Qin's 9 paths of reincarnation became more powerful, these Qin soldiers would be able to directly reincarnate. It was a pity that the 9 paths of reincarnation could only reincarnate 1,000 people at a time. The difference between 1,000 people and 100 million people was simply too great. Even though the 9 paths of reincarnation could continuously become stronger through reincarnation, it was still quite slow. If only they could find a way to speed up the growth of the 9 paths of reincarnation. Reporting, Your Majesty. Tu, Shui, and Hua have come to congratulate Qin, a soldier reported. He, an outsider from the Heaven-Awakened world, had destroyed 2 alchemy alliances and killed countless alchemy people, and now a few alchemy families had come to congratulate him. This felt quite strange. Zhao Fu thought about it and understood why they had come. The reason why the 3 family leaders were not afraid of Qin and dared to come to Qin's place was because Qin had already destroyed 2 alliances, and Qin could easily destroy the Tu and Shui-Hua alliances. The Tu and Shui-Hua alliances understood this, so they wanted to improve their relationship with Qin in order to prevent Qin from attacking them. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Let them in." The soldier obeyed and left the main hall. Then, he brought the 3 family heads into the main hall. After entering the palace, the 3 family leaders looked at Qin's generals standing on either side and gave off a powerful aura and killing intent. Countless pairs of eyes looked at them, making them feel quite nervous. Great Qin was simply too terrifying, and the 3 family leaders thought to themselves as they looked ahead at the person sitting on the throne. Because Zhao Fu had gone to their alliance to sign a contract with them, the 3 family leaders recognized Zhao Fu. They smiled and bowed as they said, "Congratulations to Qin for destroying 2 alliances. Now, no one can stop Qin's might. They felt that Zhao Fu's status was higher than theirs, so they obediently bowed to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "There's no need to be so polite. You three are Qin's friends. I'll hold a banquet to welcome you three later." The three family leaders let out a sigh of relief. Seeing that Zhao Fu had no intention of attacking them, they had been worried that Qin would directly attack them after destroying the two alliances. The three family leaders smiled as they replied, "We also want to understand His Majesty Qin better." Following this, the banquet began, and all of Qin's people joined in the celebration. At the banquet, the three family leaders could not help but praise Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu politely replied to them. In the end, the three family leaders felt at ease and returned to the alliance. They told the others that Qin would not attack them, and everyone relaxed. Zhao Fu did not have any intention of attacking the Soil-Water-Flower Alliance either. Now, the Soil-Water-Flower Alliance was in Qin's hands, and he could destroy them at any time. After returning to Qin's palace, Zhao Fu asked Wang Ergu, "Is there any news?" This time, Qin had destroyed two alliances, causing a huge commotion. Countless alchemist families knew about Qin, but this was not a good thing. Qin was an outsider and an enemy of the alchemist world. If so many alchemist families knew about Qin, many alchemist families would attack Qin. Chapter 2368. In actuality, Zhao Fu was quite worried about this. After all, this was the alchemy world, not the heaven-awakened world. All alchemy factions were enemies, and Qin did not have the power to oppose the entire alchemy world. Wang Ergu said seriously, "Most of the alchemy families are discussing this matter and have not decided to destroy Qin. However, a small portion of the alchemy families are clamoring to destroy Qin. There are also families waiting for Qin's next move. If Qin continues to expand and threatens them, they will definitely gather together to attack Qin." Now, Qin had devoured the territories of two alliances. Adding on his original territory, it was as big as a world. In actuality, apart from being able to obtain points from conquering territories, there were no other benefits, so Zhao Fu was not very interested. Zhao Fu wanted to destroy and conquer the alchemy families, not expand Qin's territory. The various alchemy families were waiting for Qin to make a decision. Qin would naturally wait for a while before attacking the other alchemy families, and the families would gather together. Now that Qin was so famous, the forces gathered would be incredibly large, which would be quite disadvantageous to Qin. Zhao Fu did not want this to happen, so he thought about how to resolve this and came up with a plan. In actuality, Qin had already used this plan before, which was to use Qin's diplomatic abilities to send ambassadors to the various alchemy families to express that Qin had no ill intentions and hoped that they could get along peacefully and become friends. From the information he had received, most of the factions were hesitating, and only a small portion of the alchemy families were clamoring to attack Qin. This meant that most of the factions did not want to attack Qin, and Zhao Fu could make use of this to prevent them from allying together. If they were split up, it would be much easier to destroy them. The two Shuihua alliance could also make use of this to let more alchemy families understand that Qin could get along peacefully and become friends with the alchemy world. This would allow the alchemy families to trust Qin even more. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Ergu, go back and tell Li Si about this. Go back and tell Li Si about this. Ask him to send more eloquent people over and send them to the alchemist families. Also, prepare more gifts and send them to Tu Shuihua's faction tomorrow." Wang Ergu understood Zhao Fu's plan and gave a trace of a smile as he nodded and left the palace. The next day, Qin's mighty emissaries scattered to various alchemist families, causing a sensation once again. Many alchemist families were stunned. What is Qin doing? I really can't figure out why Qin would do this. My head is in a mess now. Ha ha ha, yes. I also find it strange that Qin suddenly sent so many envoys to our families, saying that Qin has no evil intentions and can be friends with them. I think Qin is afraid of us, so he gave in to us. I don't think Qin is as scary as the rumors say. Yeah. How powerful could a small heaven-awakened world faction be? How dare he act so arrogantly in the alchemy world? Isn't he courting death? Qin is quite smart. He knows that he's not a match for us. Since Qin is so weak and afraid of death, I feel that we can ally together and destroy him. What do you all think? In actuality, I don't want to fight with Qin. If we can get along peacefully, our families won't go looking for trouble. That Qin doesn't seem to be easy to deal with. I feel the same way. I've never heard of any heaven-awakened world faction that can slaughter in the alchemy world. It's understandable for a few factions to be defeated by him, but for so many people to be defeated by him, that's a problem. That's right. Now that Qin's territory is as big as another world, it's laughable that there are still people who believe that he's weak and gives in to me. I feel that Qin definitely has his reasons for doing this, and it definitely won't be so simple. Now, what should we choose? Should we accept Qin's good intentions, or should we refuse? My family is very far away, and I'm not interested in fighting with Qin. I choose to accept Qin's good intentions. I heard that Qin indeed doesn't attack friendly factions. Look at that Soil-Water-Flower alliance, isn't it fine? They even attended a celebratory banquet. I feel that Qin can be trusted. There were many families that did not want to cause trouble or fight, so Zhao Fu's plan was quite successful. These families received Qin's world and expressed that as long as Qin did not attack them, they could be friends with Qin, and they would not attack Qin. Apart from most of the families that were friends with Qin, there were also a small number of alchemist families that hated Qin. These alchemist families directly chased away Qin's emissary, and some were even more despicable and killed Qin's emissary. They gave Qin a reason to attack them. Since they were not willing to be friends with Qin, and still wanted to gather Qin's good intentions, they could only be enemies. The key was that Zhao Fu's most fundamental purpose was to destroy the alchemist families. Qin needed to destroy them to obtain a large number of alchemy points, and now he only needed a few points to exchange for the path-seeking stone, so he only needed to destroy some of the alchemist families. Now that Qin had just destroyed 2 alliances, he needed some time to digest and stabilize, so he was not in a hurry to attack these alchemist families. During this period, Qin could continue to send people to those families that were willing to be friends with Qin, and he could also invite them to Qin's house, so that the 2 sides could improve their relationship and make them trust Qin more. This could resolve many enemies. As long as these families did not get involved, those who did not accept Qin's good intentions, and still dared to clamor, Qin would destroy them one by one. Without the help of the other families, they would be scattered in different directions, and they would not have the power to resist Qin's forces at all. Qin could easily crush them. This method could be used continuously. As long as they did not run into someone who was at the same level as Qin, most of the families that were not as powerful as Qin would choose to be friends with Colonel Qin. Zhao Fu felt that this method would allow him to obtain alchemy points faster, and he would not feel any pressure. He would be able to easily deal with them, and it would be much better than having to painstakingly attack forces one by one and worrying about other families attacking them. The Soil-Water-Flower Alliance was quite surprised that Qin had sent people to various places. Even though they did not know what Qin's goal was, it was obvious that this was very beneficial to them. They did not have to worry about Qin attacking them, and they could completely relax. Facing the various gifts that Qin had sent, they understood that Qin wanted to have a better relationship with them. They would not refuse, and they ordered people to send some gifts as well. The relationship between the 2 sides became very good, and they were really like 2 good friends. Chapter 2369. 10 or so days later, as Zhao Fu made friends with the various families, their hostility was greatly reduced, and their attitudes towards Qin became even better. The 2 sides also started to trade. Qin could sell some heaven-awakened world products, which many people from the gold refining race were quite interested in. The gold refining race also sold some heaven-awakened world products which Qin would buy. With benefits, the relationship between the two sides naturally became better and would no longer be at odds with each other like before. In fact, even the two Shueihua faction, which had a good relationship with Qin, allowed their commoners to come to Qin to play or buy things. In actuality, there was also a method of assimilation. A very powerful faction could devour a small faction without using military force. It relied on its powerful influence to influence the small faction, and after a while, people would not resist the large faction and would feel that they were part of the large faction. Qin was that large faction, while the two Shueihua alliance was that small faction. After Qin and the various gold refining race families became friends, Zhao Fu did not hesitate to continue to fight and destroy the factions that did not have a good relationship with Qin. This time, they were spread out and not gathered together, so Qin's method of battle had to change. Before this, Qin had collected information on these families. There were 600 or so of them, and the most powerful had tens of billions of people and 1 billion gold refining soldiers. The weakest had less than 100 million people and only a few million soldiers. Zhao Fu left 5 billion Qin soldiers to defend his home, while the other 6 billion soldiers were split into 30 teams, each of which had 200 million soldiers. They had saint beasts and some beasts, as well as talisman arrows and sun crystals. The 30 teams gave off an austere aura as they marched in all directions, giving off powerful auras. All creatures retreated, and no one dared to fight against them. The nearby gold refining race families looked at Qin's soldiers, who were dressed in black armor and held black weapons, and had cold expressions as they marched in unison, giving off powerful dark auras. They instinctively felt afraid. The various families did not know why Qin was going out to battle, and their expressions were serious and somewhat worried. They immediately sent people to investigate, and they found out that Qin was going to attack the factions that were hostile to Qin. Understanding this reason, many families breathed a sigh of relief. Those families were courting death, and no one could be blamed for it. Qin had taken the initiative to express his goodwill, but they were still hostile to Qin. If they didn't attack them, who else would they attack? The other families had no intention of helping these families. On one hand, these families had asked for it, and on the other hand, they did not want to get involved. The momentum of Qin's army shook everyone. When the families that were hostile to Qin heard this news, they became afraid, especially those who couldn't defeat Qin's army. Qin's army arrived at their destination very quickly. The 30 armies were all under the command of outstanding Qin generals, with Wang Jian overseeing the encampment as the overall commander. A group of Qin's soldiers came before a family faction, and at the front was a valiant-looking young man riding on a black horse, looking at the gold refining race in front of him. This gold refining race family's faction was quite ordinary, but they did not even have their own defensive walls. After all, building defensive walls to protect one's territory was a very time-consuming and labor-intensive project, and only large factions could do such a thing. These small factions mainly focused on defending cities, and did not have any defensive walls. Now, Qin's soldiers were in front of a city and gave off an incredibly cold and austere aura, causing the surroundings to become cold and causing the heavens and earth to dim. The gold refining race family's expressions were quite unsightly. Before, when they had been shouting, they had never thought that Qin would attack so quickly. More importantly, they had asked for help from the various families, but none of the families had responded. These bastards had just watched as they were destroyed by Qin, an outsider. Were they people from the same world? Now they hated the surrounding families, thinking that they were people from the same race and world, and they would definitely resist Qin, who was an outsider. However, this did not bring them any benefits, and there were all sorts of disadvantages. Even if they were people from the same world and race, they would not participate unless they were idiots. The gold refining race family only had 10 million or so soldiers, so how could they stop the 200 million Qin's soldiers? Qin's soldiers also had gold refining power and gold refining saint beasts, so they had no advantage at all. General Qin coldly looked ahead and said in a dignified tone, "Those who follow will live, and those who go against will die." This was the last chance that Qin had given them. If their families submitted to Qin, Qin would treat them well and avoid casualties. If they were not willing to submit to Qin, then they would conquer them by force. Hearing General Qin's words, the gold refining race family felt quite troubled and did not make a decision quickly. Seeing that the gold refining race family did not respond, General Qin raised a hand and ordered, "Attack!" Boom! Qin's soldiers gave off a massive aura as they rushed over like a black tide, looking incredibly terrifying. Gold refining saint beasts shot out beams of light, and some beasts helped the soldiers attack the city. Arg! Arg! The two sides quickly clashed, and pained cries continuously sounded out as blood flew everywhere. The sounds of weapons colliding continuously sounded out as people fell to the ground and turned into cold corpses. Needless to say, the victor was Qin. Qin's soldiers easily broke through and killed their way into the city. Seeing the gold refining race residents fleeing, they did not show any mercy. Some Qin's soldiers quickly rushed forwards with cold expressions and swung their sabers at the residents, causing blood to spurt out. Warm blood covered the bodies of Qin's soldiers, making them seem even more terrifying. The residents could not resist at all and were slaughtered by Qin's soldiers. Some residents were so afraid that they knelt on the ground and begged for mercy, saving their lives. Swish, swish, swish. Seeing the fleeing residents, a group of archers did not show any mercy and shot out sharp arrows that pierced through the residents' bodies. The residents died in the end, and blood flowed all over the ground. The doors to some rooms were smashed open, and the people hiding inside were dragged out and knelt in front of the doors, trembling in fear. Some of the valuable things were taken away by Qin's soldiers, and the things that could not be taken away were not destroyed. After all, this city already belonged to Qin, and if they destroyed Qin's things, it was possible that Qin's soldiers would destroy the things that they could not take away. Qin's soldiers quickly took control of this city, and there was blood and corpses everywhere. The residents who had surrendered were gathered together and were guarded by some Qin's soldiers. After taking control of this city wall, Qin's soldiers immediately gave off ferocious auras and started to attack other cities. Chapter 2370. Arg! The next city did not have the ability to resist at all, and Qin's soldiers rushed into the city and started a massacre. Large sabers cut down the commoners, causing blood to flow everywhere. Arrows pierced through the commoners' chests, causing them to fall to the ground and turn into corpses. Some Qin cavalrymen rode on black horses and held spears as they galloped through the street. Their spears pierced through the commoners in front of them, and they continued onwards with their corpses. Regardless of whether they were men or women, old or young, they all died to their spears. Cries continuously sounded out within the city, and blood spurted everywhere. A bloody aura spread throughout the city, giving off a terrifying feeling. It was not just this alchemist family that suffered like this. The other alchemist families suffered the same thing. Another alchemist family was slightly more powerful than this one and resisted slightly, causing some casualties to Qin's soldiers. Qin charged into the city and madly slaughtered, killing more than half of the people, and many people were hung on the city walls. These people had caused Qin's soldiers to suffer losses and had stubbornly resisted. They could still retaliate against Qin, so they had to be killed. Even if they were afraid of surrendering to Qin, it was useless. They had to pay the price. They were only hung on the city walls, which was not too bad. After some families were conquered by Great Qin, the people from the metallurgist families were tied to pillars, and their skin was peeled off. They were exposed to the scorching sun, and the intense pain caused them to howl as they continuously twisted and struggled on the pillars. This was done in front of countless commoners, and Qin was telling them the consequences of resisting. Seeing Qin's bloody and cruel methods and hearing ear-piercing cries, the commoners knelt on the ground and did not dare to raise their heads, their hearts filled with terror. Kill! Another group of Qin's soldiers roared and gave off a massive aura as they attacked another alchemist family. Countless Qin's soldiers ferociously charged into the city, once again causing a bloodbath. We surrender, we surrender! Don't kill us! Some alchemist families with only tens of millions of people and a few million soldiers were surrounded by Qin before they could react. There was no way for them to escape. Seeing how terrifying Qin was, they didn't dare to resist at all. He led his clansmen to lay down their weapons and kneel in front of the city wall. He no longer had the arrogant and domineering attitude he had before. General Qin accepted the surrender of this family. He led Qin's soldiers into this faction and took control of this family. The sounds of battle rang out everywhere, and killing continued. Death filled the air. Alchemist families were destroyed by Qin one after another, and the entire region became extremely oppressive. Although many families who did not participate in the battle were not attacked by Qin or threatened by Qin, they still felt a great pressure when they saw the alchemist families being destroyed by Qin one after another. Before, some people had said that Qin had submitted to them because he was afraid of them. However, after seeing Qin destroy family after family, they understood just how terrifying Qin was and that he had no intention of submitting at all. Qin's so terrifying. It's the first time I've seen a Heaven-Awakened world faction that can do as they please in the alchemist world. I admit that I'm a bit afraid of Qin. That Qin's methods are quite cruel and bloody. Some were skinned, some had their stomachs cut open, some were burned, and some had their limbs cut off and hung on city walls. He didn't spare anyone, regardless of whether they were male or female, old or young. This is Qin's true appearance. Don't think that Qin is a good person, or else you'll have to pay a heavy price. Are we just going to watch as Qin destroys family after family? After all, they're from the same world as us and are of the same race. I feel quite bad watching them be slaughtered by outsiders. If you want to go, then go. Don't drag us to our deaths. I don't want to oppose Qin right now. That's right. Opposing Qin right now is equivalent to seeking death. Do you think your family can stop Qin by itself? That's impossible. Moreover, those families asked for it, so they can't blame anyone else. I feel the same way. Right now, most families don't want to get involved. If a family dares to oppose Qin, Qin's soldiers will kill them the next day, so it's best if you don't get involved. In actuality, I quite admire this Qin. After conquering everywhere, he became the most powerful faction in this region in such a short period of time. Now there are 30 billion alchemist clans under Qin's command, and hundreds of families add up to that number. I also admire Qin for this. However, after Qin destroys these alchemist factions, his strength will become even more terrifying. I'm worried that we'll end up like them in the future. Let's just take it one step at a time. Right now, no one wants to resist Qin. You can't just go with your family. Moreover, Qin has a good reason to attack those families, but they have no reason to attack us. If he dares to attack us, all of the families will instantly gather together. Zhao Fu sat on the throne of Qin's territory and looked at the memorials in his hands. He smiled. Qin's plan had been very successful. Except for the families who had resisted Qin at the beginning, no other families had participated. If they didn't participate, it would be too easy for Qin to destroy the scattered families. These families had no ability to resist at all. This time, the target of Qin's attack was less than 200 million soldiers. Those with more than 200 million soldiers would be dealt with later. After destroying many small factions, the remaining large factions would not pose any threat. The memorials that Zhao Fu was looking at were the results of Qin's attacks on the families. This time, the gains were not bad. They had obtained a lot of people and wore sacred beasts, and the losses were very small. Your Majesty, some families have sent messengers to Qin, a soldier suddenly walked in and reported. Zhao Fu's expression froze. Family messengers? Which family messengers would come to Qin at this time? After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Let them in." Then, dozens of people walked in from the door. Among them, there were men and women. Most of them were young. There were also some middle-aged men and women, and some old people. They nervously and carefully came to Zhao Fu, bowed, and said which families they were from. There were people from the Winter Mushroom Ice family, the Minan Yi family, the Valley Yen family, the Lake family, the Huisher family, the Bai Lei family, the He Tu family. These families had dared to challenge Qin and openly oppose Qin. They had done what others dared not do and said what others dared not say. It felt great, and they had become more famous. Seeing that Qin continued to make friends with people from all over the world, they thought that everything was fine. Chapter 2371. However, looking at Great Qin's momentum as it destroyed the alchemist families and massacred the residents, they were unable to resist at all. It was not that they were too weak, but rather that Qin was simply too powerful. Even if they fought him, the result would be the same. They started to feel afraid and did not want their families to be destroyed or die. They regretted what they had done, so they hurriedly sent messengers to Qin and asked Qin not to attack them. Now, they were willing to be friends with Qin and apologize to Qin for what had happened before. Zhao Fu guessed their identities because apart from these families, no other families would come looking for him. After they reported their origins, the first thing they said was an apology. They said sincerely, "We're sorry, Qin's Majesty. We were too arrogant and conceited. Please give us a chance. We're willing to be friends with Qin." Zhao Fu had already guessed what they were going to say, but it was impossible for Zhao Fu to agree. Firstly, Qin was not that easy to talk to. If they wanted to resist Qin, they would resist Qin. If they wanted to resist, they would not resist. Qin had his own dignity and would not allow them to do this. They had to pay a heavy price in order to maintain Qin's dignity and reputation. Otherwise, they would think that Qin was weak and could do whatever they wanted. Secondly, Qin's goal was to attack them. If he accepted their apology, who would Qin attack next? There were no other targets. However, Qin had already gone far enough, and Zhao Fu did not want to go too far. It was easy for accidents to happen, and it would take a lot of time and effort. As such, Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm sorry, but I refuse. Since you've made the decision to become enemies with Qin, you must pay the corresponding price. I'll give you two choices. Submit to Qin, and Qin will treat you well, or Qin will destroy you." When everyone heard this, their hearts sank and their faces became pale. One was to submit, the other was to die. They did not want to choose either. An ordinary-looking young man knelt on the ground and begged, "Qin's Majesty, we know we were wrong. Please give us another chance. Qin is such a big force, so he must be very generous. Please forgive us this time." An old man also knelt on the ground and cried, "Your Majesty Qin, the family head who made the decision has been abolished by us. Now we really regret it. We want to be friends with Qin. We will never betray Qin or do anything to hurt Qin." A decent-looking woman knelt on the ground and cried pitifully as she said, "Your Majesty, we also know that we were wrong. We were foolish to make such a decision. As long as you don't attack us, we can do anything." The others also knelt on the ground. They would definitely not submit to Qin. If they wanted to submit to Qin, they would have come here. However, they did not want to be destroyed, so they could only kneel on the ground and beg Zhao Fu. They all said the same thing. They said that they regretted their mistakes and that it was someone else's decision, not their family's decision. They were also willing to do anything as long as Qin did not attack them. Their pitiful and sorrowful expressions of knowing that they were in the wrong made people sympathize with them. However, what kind of person was Zhao Fu? Would he sympathize with them because they were pitiful? This was impossible. Zhao Fu said resolutely, "You don't have to do this. I won't change my decision. Go back and tell your families that you can either submit to Qin or wait to be destroyed by Qin." Hearing Zhao Fu's resolute words, some people collapsed to the ground, feeling that their families were going to be destroyed. Some people did not give up and knelt on the ground, crying and begging. Zhao Fu frowned and ordered, "Chase these people out." The soldiers immediately went up and dragged these people out and threw them out of the Qin territory. These people could only give up and return to their families to report this news. The various families felt quite gloomy, and they felt incredibly regretful. However, it was too late. A few days later, Qin's soldiers brought their people back and did not continue to fight. Because these people came from all sorts of places and were separated by many families, they did not have much control over them and could easily be attacked by others. As such, Zhao Fu ordered people to move them back to the Qin territory. Because of these people, Qin's army could not continue to fight, so they sent their people and harvest back to Qin. Moreover, after so many battles, they had consumed a lot of resources and were quite tired, so they had to return to Qin to rest. Seeing Qin's soldiers return, the various alchemist families let out sighs of relief. Things had finally calmed down. This time, Qin had destroyed 70 families and gained 5 billion people, 400 million alchemist soldiers, and 800 alchemist holy beasts. Zhao Fu felt quite satisfied with this result. Even though it was not a lot, it was not easy to obtain billions of alchemist holy beasts. Most importantly, Qin had consumed very little, and they had only lost tens of millions of soldiers. They had also obtained a lot of other resources, and there was no need to go into detail. Finally, the territories that Qin had conquered were no longer of much use to Qin, and they had obtained points. Zhao Fu understood that Qin's expeditions had caused many people to be vigilant and worried, so he decided to give these territories to the nearby factions that were on good terms with Qin for free. After hearing this news, the various families were incredibly happy. They had not done anything and had just watched, and they had not suffered any losses at all. However, they had obtained so much territory, and this was something that Qin had given to them for free. In the past, if they wanted to obtain more territory, they had to pay a great price and suffer losses to obtain it. Now it was so easy that they could not believe it. Only when Qin confirmed it himself did they truly believe that it was such a good thing. The originally oppressive and solemn atmosphere in this area suddenly disappeared, and all the factions revealed happy smiles. The families that had been vigilant and worried about Qin could not close their mouths in the face of such great benefit. They were not so hostile to Qin, nor were they so vigilant and worried. They even liked Qin a little, because they had never met such a good faction that could give away territories for free. Of course, the families that had resisted Qin were the most regretful. Now, not only did they have to worry about Qin's attack, but they also had no benefit. Looking at the families that had obtained territories, they were filled with envy and jealousy. However, as Qin's expeditions had spread, his fame had grown, and he had attracted the attention of more powerful families. Chapter 2372. After a few days of rest in Qin, the army continued to march in all directions. Now, he only needed a few more points to exchange for the path-seeking stone. Zhao Fu did not want to wait any longer. After building the primitive cauldron, Zhao Fu still had many things to take care of. Time passed slowly. Qin's soldiers easily destroyed the clans without encountering any difficulties. Zhao Fu had nothing to do in the land of Qin, so he felt a bit bored. One day, the master of the Hua clan sent someone to invite Zhao Fu to visit the Hua clan. Now that Qin and the Hua clan were very close, they were slowly assimilating them. Zhao Fu thought for a while and did not refuse. When he arrived at the Hua clan's territory, Zhao Fu was a bit surprised. This place was filled with flowers, but these flowers were not metal flowers. They were as beautiful and delicate as normal flowers. In the alchemy world, all kinds of plants and creatures were half metal and half living things. Seeing normal flowers in the alchemy world, Zhao Fu was also surprised. Also, these flowers had a very strong life force. It seemed that the flowers would not wither and would always be in full bloom. It seemed that the Hua clan had a special way of growing flowers. He wondered if it would be useful to him. Zhao Fu did not care about normal flowers. What Zhao Fu cared about were the rare flowers of heaven and earth. They had been growing for so long, but they did not look like they were going to bloom. Zhao Fu was collecting all kinds of methods to speed up their growth. The Hua clan was already waiting for Zhao Fu in front of the gate. Zhao Fu looked at all the beautiful women. It seemed that the Hua clan was dominated by women, and the status of the men was lower. The master of the Hua clan was a beautiful woman with a mature figure. Her name was Hua Qianye. There were 5 other women beside her. They all emitted a noble aura, and their auras were very strong. They were probably the masters of the collateral families of the Hua clan. One had a bewitching figure and wore a red dress. She was a seductive woman called Hua Shuiling. The other had a slim figure and gave off a gentle aura. She wore a green dress and was called Hua Yao. Of the remaining 3, one wore a white dress and was quite tall and gave off a pure and beautiful aura, and she was called Hua Bai. Another wore a black dress and had a voluptuous figure, giving off a powerful aura, and she was called Black Flower. Another wore a blue palace dress and gave off a gentle aura, and she was called Flower Fan. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Seeing that Zhao Fu had arrived in front of them, the women smiled and saluted. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "No need to be so polite." Hua Qianye smiled and said, "Your Majesty, we are very happy and honored that you have come to our Hua family. Now we will take you to tour the Hua family's territory and show you the beauty of our Hua family." Zhao Fu lightly laughed and nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu followed the Hua clan's people to a sea of flowers. This place was similar to the flower region in Qin City, and it was filled with all sorts of flowers. It was as vast as an ocean, and the fragrance of the flowers was quite strong. Zhao Fu was not very interested in the Qin City, and he asked about the Hua clan's method of growing flowers. Hua Qianye smiled as she said, "Your Majesty, the Hua clan relies on a special alchemy technique to grow these flowers. If you want to know, I'll tell you now." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded before listening to Hua Qianye speak. This alchemy technique was called flower alchemy, and it allowed one to send a portion of alchemy power into the flowers, allowing them to maintain a stable state. However, once that power disappeared, the flowers would instantly wither. Zhao Fu was quite disappointed and continued to ask, "Does the Hua clan have any method to quickly grow flowers?" Hua Qianye gave a meaningful smile as she replied, "Your Majesty, we do have a method that can speed up the growth of flowers. It's called the flowering spirit formation, but this is a secret technique of the Hua clan, and it can only be used by those with the Hua clan's bloodline." Zhao Fu frowned. In an alchemy clan, anything important or precious required the Hua clan's bloodline. Otherwise, no one would be able to use it. Seeing Zhao Fu's expression, Hua Qianye lightly laughed as she said, "There's no need to feel troubled, Your Majesty. This matter is quite easy to resolve. The Hua family just needs to send a few people to Great Qin to help." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. In actuality, he had wanted to take control of the Hua clan and obtain the Hua clan's inheritance and secret technique. Now that Hua Qianye said that she would send a few people to help Qin City, it felt good to solve this problem. Seeing that Zhao Fu had agreed, Hua Qianye smiled and said, "My daughter, Hua Qingyi, is very good at this. She is also very beautiful. I wonder if Your Majesty can take her as a concubine. This way, not only will our relationship be further improved, but it will also help Qin City." Zhao Fu understood the Hua clan's purpose from the beginning. They didn't just invite him to have fun. They wanted to improve their relationship with Qin City. Now that Qin had been conquering everywhere, he was getting more and more powerful. He was also generous and willing to give anything to Qin City. The Hua clan also wanted to improve their relationship with Qin City and gain more benefit. If Qin City married her daughter, they would be in-laws. It would be less likely for Qin City to attack the Hua clan in the future. Zhao Fu didn't care about this kind of thing. He was about to agree with a smile. Clang! A sword suddenly rang out. A sharp sword stabbed out from the side, bringing with it a sword light. It was about to stab Zhao Fu's throat. It happened so suddenly that everyone was shocked and didn't have time to react. Zhao Fu stood where he was and didn't move. He stretched out 2 fingers and gently caught the sword. He looked forward. The person holding the sword was a woman. She looked very beautiful and tall. She wore green clothes and had a flat chest. She looked shocked. She didn't expect that the sword she was so confident in would be easily blocked by Zhao Fu. She tried to pull the sword, but she couldn't move it at all. When the people around saw that woman, their expressions became ugly. Hua Qianye shouted angrily, "Guards! Arrest the young miss for me." That woman was Hua Qingyi, the eldest lady of the Hua clan. She reacted and wanted to escape, but she was caught by 2 people. Now, the eldest lady of the Hua clan dared to assassinate Zhao Fu. This wasn't a small matter. It could cause the entire Hua clan to be destroyed. They weren't a match for Qin City at all. Even 10 Hua clans wouldn't be able to do it. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu and felt incredibly nervous. They wanted to see what Zhao Fu would do. They didn't expect that Hua Qingyi would assassinate Zhao Fu. The emperor of the Qin Empire, Qin City, was supreme and respected by everyone. "Let go of me, I don't want to marry him. I have someone I like. Quickly kill him. As long as we kill him, Qin City will collapse," Hua Qingyi said as she struggled. Her words caused some people to be tempted. Now that they had all assassinated Zhao Fu, they felt like they were doomed. Rather than waiting for Qin City to destroy them, it was better for them to kill Zhao Fu first. This could cause the Qin Empire to suffer heavy losses. Chapter 2373. However, seeing Zhao Fu standing there confidently and not showing any signs of fear or running, they did not dare to attack. Zhao Fu gave them a sense of danger, and as the emperor of the Qin Empire, he would not be killed so easily. Otherwise, he would not be the emperor of the Qin Empire. Since he dared to come to the Hua family by himself and looked so confident, he definitely had some sort of backup plan. But Hua Qianye looked furious and slapped Hua Qingyi before turning and bowing apologetically to Zhao Fu. "Your Majesty, even though she's my daughter, she dared to do such a thing. I'll hand her over to you. You can do whatever you want." Hua Qingyi, who had been struggling and yelling, became obedient. Her eyes were filled with tears as she looked at her mother pitifully. Her mother should have loved her the most, so why was she handing her over to someone else? She did not even care about her life or death. The other family leaders also bowed and said nervously, "Your Majesty, we're truly sorry for what happened. I'm really sorry that something like this happened, but this is something she did alone, and it has nothing to do with the family." They did not dare to do anything to Zhao Fu, so they could only choose to sacrifice Hua Qingyi to protect the Hua family. One person dying was better than a group dying. "Your Majesty, please don't kill Qingyi. If you want to kill someone, kill me. Qingyi did this for me." A woman wearing a pink dress and giving off a weak aura rushed out and knelt on the ground. Zhao Fu smiled and did not feel angry. Hua Qingyi was too weak to Zhao Fu, and her assassination attempt just then had been like a fly. Zhao Fu looked at the weak woman and smiled as he said, "What's your name?" The weak woman said nervously, "My name is Hua Qiangmi." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Hua Qiangmi, if you perform well, I'll let her off and not pursue this matter." Hua Qiangmi happily looked at Zhao Fu and said, All right. I'll agree to anything. Everyone inwardly let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that this was not a big deal to Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu did not plan on pursuing the matter. They would not be destroyed by the Qin Empire. Zhao Fu looked at the sea of flowers and said, "The scenery here is beautiful. Set up a banquet here. I want to have some fun here." Hearing this, Hua Qianye immediately ordered people to carry it out. There was a long table at the very front, and Zhao Fu sat there. Below him, there were a few other long tables where the family leaders sat. The long table was already filled with dishes and snacks. Zhao Fu stretched out his hands and brought Hua Qianye and Hua Qiangmi into his embrace. Hua Qianye had never thought that Zhao Fu would be interested in her, and she had wanted to marry her daughter to Zhao Fu. Hua Qiangmi's face became red, and she did not dare to resist. Hua Qingyi sat by the side and watched as her mother and the person she loved were bullied. She furiously cursed, "Bastard! I'm going to kill you and make you wish you were dead." Hua Qianye looked at the person next to her and had her seal Hua Qingyi's mouth. She did not want to make Zhao Fu angry again. The person understood and walked to Hua Qingyi's side. He waved his hand and a wave of energy spread out, making it so that Hua Qingyi could not speak and could only glare at Zhao Fu. In order to curry favor with Zhao Fu, Hua Qianye and Hua Qiangmi brought wine and food to Zhao Fu's table. The other family leaders also did their best to curry favor with Zhao Fu. Moreover, they ordered for a dance troupe to come and perform for Zhao Fu. At first, it was fine, but after a while, Zhao Fu started playing with the things on Hua Qianye and Hua Qiangmi's chest. The two of them blushed and cooperated with Zhao Fu, not daring to offend Zhao Fu. At the same time, they enjoyed it quite a bit. Seeing this, the other family leaders' faces became slightly red, but they did not say anything. By the side, Hua Qingyi glared at Zhao Fu, wanting to kill Zhao Fu and then turn Zhao Fu into minced meat. After a while, things went completely out of control. Zhao Fu took off Hua Qianye's clothes and started to ravage her, followed by Hua Qiangmi and the other branch family leaders. In the end, even Hua Qingyi was forced to join in. The sky was a deep blue, and a few white clouds floated about. A light breeze blew, and the women's lewd moans continuously sounded out from the sea of flowers. This continued until nighttime, and the bright moon hung in the sky, covering the sea of flowers with moonlight. The flowers were incredibly moving, and the women all collapsed in Zhao Fu's embrace. Zhao Fu lay within the sea of flowers, one arm around Hua Qianye and the other around Hua Qingyi. At first, he had thought that Hua Qingyi's chest was quite small, but now he realized that it was quite shocking. She had tied them up with cloth. Hua Qianye hugged Zhao Fu with both arms, her face red and flirtatious as she said, "Your Majesty, I've never been so happy before. I've never been as happy as I am today. I feel like nothing matters now." Zhao Fu hugged her and smiled as he said, "You also smell quite good. From now on, you're all my women." Hua Qianye happily smiled as she said, "Now that we've become your women, I'll call you husband. We're all yours. How do you plan to treat the Hua family in the future?" Zhao Fu thought about it and said, "Since you're all my women, I won't hide it from you. Sooner or later, the Hua family will belong to Qin. Not just the Hua family but all of the surrounding alchemy factions." Hearing this, the women felt quite startled. So it turned out that Qin had always wanted to devour them. However, they understood that Qin's growth was incredibly fast, and he would become an untouchable existence sooner or later. When that time came, they would be too weak, and Qin would be able to devour them easily. This was already a foregone conclusion. Zhao Fu continued to say, "Qin is not as simple as you think. Qin's territory already covers the godly realm, the underworld, the chaotic world, and the alchemy world. He also has abilities that you can't imagine. After you join Qin, you'll know everything about Qin. If you join Qin now, I'll give you a position that you can't imagine. If you don't want to, I won't force you." The women fell into deep thought and did not make a decision directly. Hua Qianye looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes and said, "Then, husband, how terrifying is Qin? We saw Qin's strength before, but it was only a small part of Qin, right?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "That's for sure. Qin's abilities are beyond your imagination. In the future, the Qin Empire will become an existence similar to the alchemy world, which is an independent world." An independent world similar to the alchemy world? Hearing these words, everyone felt incredibly shocked. They could not imagine this at all, and the impact was too great. They could not wrap their heads around it and could not believe it. It could be said that no faction dared to say such a thing. Even the ancient and powerful factions in the refinement domain did not dare to say such a thing because they could not do such a thing. Just what kind of existence was this Qin? Zhao Fu did not seem to be lying, and as long as they joined Qin, they would be able to understand everything about Qin. As such, they did not have to worry that Zhao Fu would lie to them, so they believed Qin. Hua Qianye smiled and asked the other branch family leaders, "What do you think?" Chapter 2374. The other family leaders happily laughed as they said, "We won't object. As long as the Hua family can have more power and status than before, we believe that husband will not mistreat us." Hua Qianye kissed Zhao Fu and said, "Husband, the Hua family will submit to Qin. The Hua family will submit to Great Qin, and you will have to take responsibility for us in the future." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded before kissing Hua Qianye's lip. Hua Qianye passionately responded to Zhao Fu. Hua Qianye lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and watched as Zhao Fu, that bastard, acted intimately with her mother. Her body and that of the person she loved had been violated by this bastard, and she felt incredibly angry. She wanted to kill Zhao Fu. However, she could not bring herself to do it. For some reason, she just wanted to do it, but she could not do it. Moreover, she greatly enjoyed the feeling of being violated by Zhao Fu. Just like her mother, she had never experienced such joy before, and she remembered how she had been ravished by Zhao Fu. Now, this damned bastard was acting intimately with her mother while playing with that thing on her chest, making her want to do it again. Hua Qianye endured it for a while before finally taking the initiative to ride on Zhao Fu's body. In that moment, it was as if she had the vast Qin Empire. Afterwards, everyone put on their clothes. Just as Hua Qianye was about to continue tying up her chest, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and said, "Don't do that. I quite like you the way you are." Hua Qianye glanced at Zhao Fu and lightly harumphed. She did not use any more cloth and put on her clothes. Hua Qiangmi happily leapt into Hua Qingye's embrace and said, "Qingye, we can always be together in the future." Hua Qingye hugged Hua Qiangmi, looking quite unhappy. Even though they could be together, they both belonged to the same man. Moreover, when Hua Qiangmi had been violated by Zhao Fu, she had seemed to enjoy it, making her feel quite uncomfortable. No one would be happy if they saw that scene, but she was even more unrestrained than Hua Qiangmi, especially when it had been too wild just then. She could not say anything about Hua Qiangmi. Zhao Fu went to the Hua family's legacy land and took over the Hua family's legacy stone. He also took some of Hua Qiangye's blood and obtained the Hua family's various legacies. This caused the Hua family's people to look shocked. Not only could he take over the alchemist family's legacy stone, but he could also easily obtain the Hua family's pure bloodline. This was simply too terrifying. They had never seen anyone like this before. At the same time, they felt even more glad that they had joined Qin. Following this, Zhao Fu brought the women back to Great Qin. The women started to truly understand Great Qin, and massive waves crashed in their hearts that could not be calmed for a long time. Right now, the Hua family had not fused with Great Qin and remained the same as before. The news of the Hua family submitting to Great Qin would not spread. Now that everyone was on good terms with Qin, if the Hua family suddenly submitted to Qin, it would arouse suspicion. As such, Zhao Fu did not want this news to spread, as there was no need to cause trouble. In the end, Zhao Fu brought Hua Qiangye and the women to Qin's flower domain. Qin's flower domain was more powerful than the Hua family's flower domain, and it contained even more powerful flower source energy. The reason why Zhao Fu had brought them here was to set up the flowering magic formation. Zhao Fu had obtained information about this magic formation from the legacies he had obtained. It was indeed a very powerful method, and it could speed up the growth of flowers by 10 or so times. Moreover, the flowering magic formation could be fused with the time magic formation, making it even more powerful. It could speed up the growth of flowers by 30 or so times. Finally, he could add some things containing life energy to help the flowers grow even faster. Now Qin had 3 flowers: the World Wonder Flower, Evil Spirit Abyss Flower, and Dark Night Flower. They were all 10,000 meters tall and gave off massive auras. They even had flower buds, but they did not bloom. Hua Qiangye and the other women looked quite shocked. It was the first time they had seen such big flowers. They followed Zhao Fu's instructions and set up the flowering magic formation around the 3 flowers. Zhao Fu called over the 3 time goddesses to set up the time magic formation. Finally, the flowering magic formation was set up on the ground with the flower at the center. The flowering magic formation was inside, and the time magic formation wrapped around the flowering magic formation. Boom! 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 3 massive explosions sounded out as the 3 magic formations activated the entire flower domain's power, which flowed into the 3 flowering magic formations. The flowering magic formations quickly spun, continuously sending power into the flowers. The time magic formations also started to spin, causing time in that region to seem to speed up by 10 or so times. Everything was changing, and it was as if they were in a different time and space. What surprised Zhao Fu the most was that, after the 3 magic formations were activated, the 3 flowers actually showed signs of blooming. Zhao Fu had not expected this to happen so quickly, and he had thought that after the 3 magic formations were activated, it would take a long time for the 3 flowers to bloom. It was still possible that the flowers would bloom, and Zhao Fu did not have much confidence in the flowers that he had nurtured. For example, the first World Wonder Flower had been planted by Qin for 10 or so years, and he had used all sorts of treasures, but it had not bloomed. It was definitely the longest thing that Qin had nurtured. Now that the 3 flowers showed signs of blooming, how could Zhao Fu not be delighted? He had waited for 10 or so years. However, this was just a sign, and it would take some time for the flowers to truly bloom. However, it would not take too long. Zhao Fu grinned and returned to the alchemy world to take care of various matters. Boom! The next day, a massive explosion suddenly sounded out as a massive might weighed down on Qin's territory. Feeling this terrifying might, the Qin soldiers' expressions fell, and they all looked up. A young man appeared in the sky. This young man was tall and had a cold expression. Both of his hands were golden claws that gave off an incredibly sharp and cold light. This young man was from the gold refinement race, and no one knew his identity. However, his cultivation was at the Emperor Heaven Realm, and his aura was even more terrifying than ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm experts. Qin continuously attacked in all directions, and he was a faction from the Heaven Awakened world. With the Heaven Awakened world suppressing him, it would be difficult for him not to attract attention. Qin's position was quite close to the central alchemy domain. The person who had come was a royal kingdom-level family called the Golden Claw family, and it was an extremely terrifying existence. The young man's name was Jin Tai, and he was the family leader of the Golden Claw family. In fact, he had heard the news about Qin a long time ago. At first, he didn't pay much attention to it. He thought that Qin would be killed in a few days. A Heaven Awakened world faction would not be able to defeat an alchemy faction, nor would it be able to conquer the world. After all, this was the alchemy world's territory. But what he didn't expect was that Qin not only defeated the alchemy families one by one, but also went on expeditions everywhere and counterattacked the alchemy world, causing the alchemy families to fall into fear. Chapter 2375. Jin Tai stood in the sky, looking down at the Qin territory. Although it didn't feel weak, it was still too weak for the Golden Claw clan. The Golden Claw clan could easily destroy it. His appearance not only aroused the fear of Qin's soldiers, but also the surrounding forces. After knowing Jin Tai's identity, the other family heads' faces turned even paler. They didn't expect that such a powerful family like the Golden Claw family would set their sights on Qin. Now, Qin might be in trouble. They also thought that Qin was very strong and that they weren't a match for him. However, the Golden Claw family was a royal family, and they weren't even on the same level. Some people took pleasure in Qin's misfortune and waited to see how Qin would be destroyed. Such people were the majority. After all, Qin was a force from the outside world and was a threat to them. Naturally, they wanted Qin to be destroyed. Only a small number of people were worried that Qin would be killed, not because they were on Qin's side, but because Qin could benefit them. There were only two families that truly supported Qin, the Tu family and the Shui family. They had seen Qin's power with their own eyes. He was a kingdom-level existence, and he was even more powerful than an ordinary kingdom. They did not believe that Qin would be destroyed. Naturally, they would not leak this information out and wait for the various patriarchs to regret. Zhao Fu walked out from the side and looked at the Golden Claw in the sky. Jin Tai's gaze also fell on Zhao Fu. He could also tell that Zhao Fu was the leader here. He said coldly, "Qin, you're honored to be valued by me. Now I'll give you two choices. First, kneel down and offer your women and belongings. Second, die in despair and fear." Zhao Fu couldn't help chuckling. "Who gave you the courage to come to Qin City alone and be so arrogant?" Jin Tai said with a trace of arrogance. "I'm arrogant? I'm afraid you don't know who I am. I'm the Golden Claw family's young master. The Golden Claw family is a royal kingdom, and I'm an Emperor Heaven Realm expert. If I want to leave, you people won't be able to stop me." Zhao Fu didn't mind and said with a smile, "Kingdom-level family? Emperor Heaven Realm power? So what?" A trace of anger appeared on Jin Tai's face as he said, "You seem quite ignorant and pitiful. Emperor Heaven Realm experts and royal kingdom families are not people that Qin can afford to offend. If you beg for mercy, I might spare you." Zhao Fu said provocatively with a smile, "Really? Show me your Emperor Heaven Realm power for now." Boom! Jin Tai exploded out with an even more powerful might that covered the surroundings, causing the heavens and earth to dim. The terrifying power caused the ground to crack, and just as Jin Tai was about to attack Zhao Fu, a large number of Qin's soldiers rushed over. "Humph! You can only hide behind the soldiers now. Soon, I will mobilize a large number of soldiers to destroy you, Qin. I will let you know the immensity of heaven and earth. At that time, it will be useless even if you beg for mercy." Zhao Fu loudly laughed as he said, "All right. Then I'll come out. Let me see your great power." The Hua family did not know about Zhao Fu's power, and everyone felt quite startled. Jin Tai was so powerful and seemed to be able to reign above the world. Wasn't Zhao Fu just throwing his life away? Hua Qinya hurriedly pulled on Zhao Fu and said, "Husband, don't go out. If you stay here, he won't dare to barge in. With Qin's strength, he won't be afraid of the Golden Claw family. However, if something happens to you, it will be quite disadvantageous for Qin." Hua Qingyi lightly harumphed, "Mother is right, don't force yourself. We're your women, I don't want to be a widow." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Even though you understand Qin's power, you don't understand mine." The Hua family's people felt quite startled and looked around. The various Qin's generals did not seem to be stopping him. They felt quite curious. Why was Zhao Fu throwing his life away, and why was no one stopping him? Zhao Fu told Hua Qinya to let go of him, and he went outside the city walls by himself. The Hua family's people understood that Zhao Fu was not only the ruler of the Qin Empire, but he was also quite powerful. However, facing such a terrifying Jin Tai, they still felt a trace of worry. Jin Tai coldly laughed as he looked at Zhao Fu. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would dare to come out. He could sense Zhao Fu's power. It was quite ordinary and there was nothing special about it. Since Zhao Fu was seeking death, he naturally would not show mercy. Boom! Jin Tai gave off a massive aura as he rushed towards Zhao Fu. His metallic hand was like a sharp claw, giving off an incredibly sharp aura that seemed to be able to tear apart the ground. Jin Tai quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu and said coldly, "Die!" A sharp claw containing shocking power grabbed towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a condescending smile as he looked at the incoming Jin Tai. He clenched his fist and punched forward. Bang! The extremely sharp claws and the simple punch collided in that instant, and a terrifying shock wave spread out. The ground instantly collapsed, and a wild gust of wind blew countless rocks into the air. A crater that was hundreds of meters wide appeared in the ground. Zhao Fu stood in the air without moving at all, while Jin Tai retreated 10 or so steps. Blood flowed out of his mouth as he looked at Zhao Fu with an unsightly expression. His full-powered attack had been easily defeated by Zhao Fu. This person was more powerful than him, but how could he have such terrifying power? Jin Tai ignored his shock and turned to fly to the side. This person was so terrifying, and this was his territory. If he did not leave, the consequences would be dire. Seeing that Jin Tai wanted to run, Zhao Fu coldly laughed as his body disappeared and reappeared beside Jin Tai. He twisted his body and kicked out with immense force, seeming as if a mountain could be shattered by his kick. Jin Tai felt quite startled and hurriedly blocked with his hands, giving off a powerful aura. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Jin Tai was sent flying back and crashed to the ground. Jin Tai looked furious as he crawled up from the ground and exploded out with terrifying power. Boundless golden light shined out from his body as his 2 metallic arms started to grow, turning into 2 massive claws. Shing! Jin Tai vigorously waved his hand and 5 golden crescents containing immense sharpness slashed towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and a powerful aura flowed out from his palm as a black dragon inscription barrier appeared. Bang! 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 The 5 golden crescents slammed into the barrier and shattered. However, only a few cracks appeared on the barrier and it did not shatter. Swish! Jin Tai's body appeared in front of Zhao Fu and a metallic claw containing immense power grabbed towards Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the black defensive barrier was shattered by Jin Tai's claw. Jin Tai continued to swipe at Zhao Fu, but Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and grabbed Jin Tai's arm before throwing him to the side, sending Jin Tai flying. Chapter 2376. Bang! Jin Tai's body was thrown out incredibly quickly and heavily smashed against a large boulder, causing it to shatter. Arg! Jin Tai madly exploded out with terrifying power, and waves of golden light containing powerful auras spread out. The ground started to turn into gold and gave off a golden luster. Swish, 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 arms stretched out from the ground, giving off shocking power as they grabbed towards Zhao Fu. There were so many arms that it was impossible to count them all, making anyone feel quite terrified. Zhao Fu took out the emperor-killing sword and sent a shocking wave of power into it. Countless traces of black and red sword chi of massacring appeared, giving off a berserk and sharp sword intent, dyeing the surroundings black and blood-red. Boom! Zhao Fu gripped the sword and vigorously slashed out. A terrifying sword light slammed against the countless robotic arms, resulting in a massive explosion. Even though the countless robotic arms were powerful, the sword light was even sharper and slashed apart the robotic arms. Jin Tai looked quite startled and stretched out a hand. More robotic arms stretched out with great power and grabbed towards Zhao Fu. A condescending smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he rushed forwards incredibly quickly. The robotic arms came before Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu slashed out a sword light, slashing out and slashing apart the robotic arms. Mechanical arms continuously grabbed over, and Zhao Fu rushed forwards while swinging his sword, sending out sword lights that continuously destroyed the mechanical arms. In the end, Zhao Fu reached Jin Tai and raised his sword, sending a powerful wave of power into it. The Emperor-killing sword gave off boundless sword light and a terrifying sword energy spread out. Jin Tai's expression was quite unsightly, and he immediately released a wave of alchemy power, forming a circular metal shield in front of him. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out with his sword, sending out a sword energy that seemed to be able to destroy everything. It slashed through the shield, and Jin Tai's body was sent flying. He crashed to the ground and coughed up a large mouthful of blood, looking quite heavily injured. The Qin family's generals were not surprised that Jin Tai had been defeated by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was the most powerful expert in the Qin Empire, and the geniuses of the various races had all fallen at his hands. He was invincible among those of the same cultivation. The Hua family's people looked incredibly shocked. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful. Jin Tai was an Emperor Heaven Realm expert, and he was a terrifying existence that they could not come into contact with. Zhao Fu was even more powerful than him, and he was an existence that they could not come into contact with. They didn't expect to be acquainted with such a powerful person and even become his woman. They had only seen the surface, and now, they felt even more curious about the Qin Empire. Just what kind of powerful faction was Qin Empire? Zhao Fu walked over to Jin Tai lying on the ground and lightly laughed as he said, "I told you that you were too arrogant. Did you think that an Emperor Heaven Realm expert was a match for me?" Jin Tai looked furious. He had never thought that Zhao Fu would have such terrifying power. However, an Emperor Heaven Realm expert was definitely an extremely powerful person. With this cultivation, one could sweep through the central region and be a powerful person in the central region of the world. Why did he make it sound so weak? Who was this person in front of him? He was definitely not an ordinary person. Just who are you? Jin Tai could not help but ask. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Even if I tell you, you won't know. However, I definitely won't tell you. Right now, you should be worried about your fate. Tell me, how should I deal with you?" Right now, Zhao Fu did not know that because of the Haotian mirror incident, Zhao Fu's name had caused a massive uproar in the alchemy world. Many ancient families in the central region were searching for Zhao Fu's whereabouts. Jin Tai's expression was quite unsightly as he thought to himself. Now that he had fallen into Zhao Fu's hands, he could not escape at all. Zhao Fu could do whatever he wanted to him, and Jin Tai felt a sense of fear towards Zhao Fu. Jin Tai's tone became weaker as he said, "I was in the wrong this time, and I apologize to you and will compensate you. I hope that this matter can end here, and I can promise that the Golden Claw family will not attack Qin Empire." Zhao Fu thought about it and refused. "I don't trust your goldsmith race. Who knew that you would attack that day? What do you want?" Jin Tai asked. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Actually, I want to kill you now and let your Golden Claw family attack. Qin can take the opportunity to destroy your Golden Claw family. However, this might expose Qin's full strength and attract the attention of even stronger families, so I don't plan to do this." Jin Tai was shocked when he heard Zhao Fu's words. Qin would take the opportunity to destroy the Golden Claw family? Just how strong was Qin? Now that he thought about it, Qin might be even more terrifying than the Golden Claw family, which explained why Zhao Fu had even more terrifying power than him. Everything made sense now. Before this, he had been courting death by running to Qin Empire alone and saying that he wanted the Golden Claw family to destroy Qin Empire. If the Golden Claw family really attacked, then it was very likely that the Golden Claw family would be destroyed by Qin Empire. Thinking about that, Jin Tai felt quite regretful. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Even though I won't kill you right now, I definitely won't let you go. As such, you should stay in Qin Empire and see how the Golden Claw family reacts." Jin Tai felt much more at ease. Even though this outcome was not very good, it was better than killing him, so he said, "All right. I'll convince the Golden Claw family not to become enemies with Qin Empire." Zhao Fu smiled as he stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of demonic energy flowed into his body. Jin Tai did not dare to resist. Even if he resisted, it would be useless. He would not be able to defend. News of this quickly spread and caused a massive uproar. No one had expected Lord Qin's strength to be so terrifying. Even an Emperor Heaven Realm expert had been easily defeated by him. Just how powerful was Lord Qin Empire's ruler? Just thinking about it made them feel terrified. They had greatly underestimated Qin Empire. If it wasn't for Jin Tai coming to visit them, they definitely would not have known that Lord Qin Empire's ruler was so terrifying. Qin Empire was not as simple as they had thought. Now, everyone felt quite afraid of Qin Empire and ordered people to collect all information about Qin Empire. They desperately wanted to know Qin Empire's true strength. Even though they knew that Qin Empire had the strength to rival the Golden Claw family, they had never thought that Lord Qin Empire would also have such terrifying strength. They felt that they had only seen the surface of Qin Empire, so they ordered people to continue to collect information about Qin Empire and curry favor with Qin Empire. Now, there was not a single faction that dared to offend Qin Empire. As for those people who wanted to become enemies with Qin Empire, they felt even more regret. Now, they had sent people to Qin Empire to beg Qin Empire to spare them and give them a chance to change for the better. They truly regretted their mistake. Zhao Fu. Chapter 2377. Zhao Fu did not have time to pay attention to these people. Qin would not let them off unless they were willing to submit to Qin. This news quickly spread to the Golden Claw family. The Golden Claw family was also greatly shaken. Jin Tai was the successor to the next family leader and was the person with the most powerful bloodline in the Golden Claw family. He was also the most important person in the Golden Claw family. Now that they heard that he had been defeated by a small Heaven Awakened World faction and had been captured, the Golden Claw family did not hesitate and led a powerful army to attack Qin. The current family leader personally led the army. This generation's family leader was Jin Tai's father, and he was called Golden Tiger. He was a well-built middle-aged man who had Emperor Heaven Realm strength and was quite terrifying. Boom! The Golden Claw army gave off a majestic aura as they charged towards Qin, shaking the surroundings. No one could stop them and they could destroy countless factions. After hearing about this, Qin recalled his soldiers to prevent them from being attacked by the Golden Claw army. Zhao Fu also sent orders to Qin to have Qin prepare. The Golden Claw family's army was all at stage 2, and they had sent out 30 billion soldiers to attack Qin like an inner region royal kingdom. However, Qin did not feel any fear. If it wanted to stand on Qin's side, it would fight. The other factions did not dare to make any movements, and their eyes were focused on the Golden Claw family, waiting to see how things would develop. Most factions were still hoping that the Golden Claw faction would destroy Qin, but they did not have much confidence. After all, Qin gave them an unfathomable feeling, and someone stronger than Emperor Heaven Realm experts might be able to stop the Golden Claw. A few hours later, the Golden Claw family gave off a massive aura and came before Qin. The Golden Claw family's experts stood in the air and gave off powerful auras. There were 6 Emperor Heaven Realm experts alone. Golden Tiger gave off a powerful aura and said coldly and domineeringly, "Immediately release the Golden Claw family's young master, or else I'll slaughter all of Qin." Zhao Fu stood on the defensive walls and could not help but laugh. Ha ha, many people have said this before, but it's a pity that most of them are dead. Why are they still so arrogant? If we don't kill Qin, we will lose face. A trace of anger appeared on the Golden Tiger's face as he glared at Zhao Fu, saying, "You're the ruler of Qin City? I don't want to waste my breath. Let go of my son." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "What if I don't? What will you do?" Golden Tiger yelled angrily, "I said I would slaughter everyone in Qin and leave no one alive. If you anger me again, you'll die a horrible death." Zhao Fu smiled provocatively and said, "Then you're here. Let's see if your Golden Claw family has the ability to destroy Qin, or Qin will destroy your Golden Claw family in the end." Golden Tiger was furious and wanted to give the order to attack. An elderly man with a long beard quickly said, "Don't be in such a hurry to attack. That person looks so confident and doesn't seem to be afraid at all. Perhaps there's some sort of trap. It's best to wait for now." Another tall middle-aged man said, "That boy was able to easily defeat Jin Tai, and you have strength surpassing the Emperor Heaven Realm. We don't know anything about Qin, so if we rashly attack, we'll suffer heavy losses." Hearing this, the Golden Tiger could only suppress his anger and call out, "What do you want in exchange for letting my son off?" Zhao Fu thought for a while and said, "I haven't thought about it yet. I will take good care of your son in Qin. Don't worry. Also, I have a request. You can't interfere in the affairs of this area." How could the Golden Tiger agree to keep his son in Qin City? He refused, saying, "My son is the young master of the Golden Claw family, and he can't always stay in Qin City. As for the condition of not interfering in this region, I can agree." Zhao Fu felt that this matter could be resolved, so he smiled and said, "All right then. I will let your son go, but you and I must sign a blood contract for a year. Your Golden Claw clan cannot attack Qin, nor can you interfere with anything here. Moreover, you must promise Qin one thing." The Golden Tiger said furiously, "You have too many conditions. I won't agree." Zhao Fu did not mind and smiled as he said, "Then you can attack." The Golden Tiger was completely dumbfounded by Zhao Fu's aura. This fellow was evidently more arrogant than him, and if it wasn't for the people next to him persuading him, he really would have attacked Qin City. His faction was clearly stronger, but he was still being bullied like this. The elderly man next to him said, "Ask him what he wants first. The other conditions are just some unimportant ones, so agreeing to them isn't a big deal." The Golden Tiger thought about it and nodded before saying to Zhao Fu, "What do you want the Golden Claw clan to agree to?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I haven't thought of anything yet. Perhaps I want you to help Qin City attack some faction." This was using the Golden Claw clan as a tool, and the Golden Tiger angrily called out, "No." Zhao Fu gave a provocative smile as he said, "Then you can attack." Boom. The Golden Tiger was infuriated and exploded out with a terrifying aura, making it seem as if even the heavens and earth could not withstand it as he called out, "Do you really think that I won't dare to attack? Your elder will kill you right now." Sensing that terrifying aura, Zhao Fu's mouth curled into a trace of a cold smile. Boom. A massive explosion sounded out as an even more terrifying might exploded out from Zhao Fu's body. It rained over the heavens and earth and surpassed everything, and the world started to change. The sun and moon dimmed as winds blew and clouds gathered. Zhao Fu's eyes, which were filled with countless pupils, looked like a peerless beast's eyes as he looked at the Golden Tiger and said, "You can try." This caused the Golden Tiger and the others to feel a chill on their backs, and they felt a trace of fear in their hearts. How could this person be so powerful? The furious Golden Tiger calmed down and understood that he could not easily attack Qin City. It was possible that the Golden Claw clan would be heavily injured, and this person's strength was simply too terrifying. Qin City's faction would not be as easy as they thought. The people around them tried to persuade him, "Just agree to his request. We'd better not mess with this Qin, or I'll feel very uneasy. Of course, if he wants us to attack someone, there's a condition. It won't cause us much loss, and we have the right to refuse." The Golden Tiger thought about it and could only say, "All right. I agree to your request, but what you want us to do must not cause us great losses. If it's a great loss, we have the right to refuse." Zhao Fu retracted his aura and said with a smile, "Sure." The people of the Golden Claw clan let out a sigh of relief. It was for the best that things had been resolved like this. Now that they were facing Qin's unknown strength, they were afraid that they would kick an iron plate and cause the Golden Claw clan to suffer heavy losses. Afterwards, Zhao Fu signed a blood contract with the Golden Claw family. Zhao Fu's blood was the source bloodline, and it would be very difficult for them to find something to break it. Zhao Fu followed the agreement and released Jin Tai. The majestic Golden Claw army returned to their family dejectedly. Chapter 2378. No way. The Golden Claw family is such a powerful faction, and they sent 30 billion soldiers to Qin City, but they don't dare to act against Qin? Is that true? Did you see it for yourself? I don't believe it either. The Golden Claw family is one of the most powerful factions in this region. Who doesn't fear them? How come they don't even dare to act against a Heaven-Awakened World faction? They don't even dare to let Qin's side provoke them. It's true, I saw it for myself. Even though the Golden Claw family's leader is powerful and domineering, that Qin's leader is even more arrogant than him and completely suppressed the Golden Claw family's leader. Did you see that Emperor Heaven Realm experts didn't even dare to breathe loudly in front of that Qin's leader? That Qin's leader is simply too terrifying. I feel that it's not just Qin's leader. If it's just Qin's leader, how can he stop an army? Qin's army is quite terrifying, so the Golden Claw family doesn't dare to attack. That's right, I think so too. Didn't you see how dejected the Golden Claw family's army looked? That Qin is quite powerful to be able to make a royal kingdom family act like this. Thank goodness we didn't choose to oppose them back then. Ha ha ha, that's right, I felt that this Qin wasn't simple at all, so I tried to maintain a good relationship with Qin. It turns out that I wasn't wrong. Now is the time to show off. We'll immediately send gifts to Qin to congratulate him. We must curry favor with such a terrifying faction and can't offend them in any way. The various factions all sent gifts to Great Qin to express their congratulations, and none of them looked as if they were waiting for Great Qin to be destroyed or rejoiced in its misfortune. Now, the factions opposing Qin were in a pitiful state. They had been filled with hope and thought that their savior had come, so they were quite happy. However, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. They had thought that Qin would be destroyed by the Golden Claw family, and that they would not have to worry about Qin attacking. However, they had never thought that the Golden Claw family would not dare to act. Was this Qin really that powerful? Now they all felt quite afraid. All of the factions were afraid without any exception. In addition, the messengers they had sent to Qin to beg for mercy had not received any response. Many families felt that their hearts had died. It's all your fault. You fought against Qin for no reason. Now, Qin doesn't even give you a chance to forgive. Your whole family will be destroyed because of this. Yeah. Look at other forces. If they get along well with Qin, not only will they not be attacked by Qin, but they will also get all kinds of benefits. I'm so angry. You people love to show off, and you even said that Qin wouldn't dare to do anything. I told you not to do that. Now I can say that it's all your fault. Alright, it's useless to regret it now. Let's talk about what we should do now. What else can we do now? Even the Golden Claw clan doesn't dare to attack Qin. We're dead for sure. I think we should leave this area as soon as possible. I feel that this is the only way. Although the loss of evacuation is great, at least the foundation of the family is preserved. Well, now we have no choice but to move now. Otherwise, when Qin attacks again, it will be too late. The various clans made up their minds and didn't hesitate. They immediately ordered their people to pack up and prepare to move to other areas. Now that they couldn't defeat Qin, they could only choose to hide. The movement of different clans in different places was very big, and it caused a sensation in all directions. This was the largest migration of clans in history, and everyone paid attention to it. Naturally, Qin received the news very quickly. Zhao Fu frowned. If they ran away, who would he fight? At this moment, there was no other way. Zhao Fu left 2 billion soldiers to guard the land of Qin, while the other 10 billion soldiers attacked the fleeing clans. There were hundreds of these clans, and it was impossible to destroy them all at once. Zhao Fu didn't want to reveal too much of Qin's strength. He could only think of the contract he had just signed with the Golden Claw clan. As a king-level clan, the Golden Claw clan had the ability to stop these forces from escaping. Qin didn't need them to do anything. They were only responsible for stopping them, and Qin was responsible for hunting them down. The Golden Claw clan wouldn't suffer too many losses, and they should be unified. Zhao Fu immediately ordered people to head to the Golden Claw clan and tell them about this. The Golden Claw clan hadn't expected that Qin would have a request right after returning. Hearing that this request was only to stop the escaping clans, the Golden Claw clan let out a sigh of relief. This wasn't a difficult matter. After settling this request, they wouldn't owe Qin anything. Moreover, the contract was only for a year, and they could use this time to investigate Qin. After a year, after obtaining all of Qin's information, they would decide whether or not to destroy Qin. If Qin was stronger than them, they could only bear with it. However, if Qin was weaker than them, they would make Qin pay tenfold. The various clans still didn't know about this, and they were packing up all sorts of valuable things. They were all going to migrate, and it wasn't just soldiers. There were many commoners and many things. After bringing all sorts of things, the various clans started to move in all directions. They also built teleportation formations. Otherwise, with so many people, if they relied on walking, they wouldn't be able to leave this place even after 10 or so days. The Golden Claw clan had been waiting for a long time, and they activated isolation formations, cutting off the various clans' teleportation formations. This caused the various clans to panic, and they thought that Qin was attacking them. As such, they immediately formed defensive formations and prepared to defend against Qin's attack. However, what appeared were not Qin's soldiers but the Golden Claw clan's army. The various clans were infuriated and yelled, "How can the Golden Claw clan be the lackey of an outside world faction? Helping an outside world faction harm us? Is the Golden Claw clan worthy of being a goldsmith clan? The Golden Claw clan is too disgusting. I hate your clans the most." Facing the various clans cursing in anger, the Golden Claw clan felt quite angry. They had been infuriated by Qin because Qin was too terrifying, so they could only endure. Now, these small clans dared to insult them. Did they really think that they were easy to bully? Swish, 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 the Golden Claw clan immediately ordered their people to shoot out a wave of arrows. This wave of arrows gave off sharp metallic auras and left behind trails as they shot towards the various clans. The various clans hurriedly tried to defend, using defensive barriers and shield. However, the sharp arrows still pierced through the defensive barriers and caused some casualties to the various clans. This wave of attacks was just a warning. The various clans understood that they were too weak compared to the Golden Claw clan, so they didn't dare to continue cursing at the Golden Claw clan. They just stood there with unsightly expressions, not knowing what to do. Chapter 2379. Time gradually passed, and the various families started to feel worried. They understood that Qin would soon attack, but they were not a match for the Golden Claw family. What should they do now? The various families had no choice but to forcefully break through. Otherwise, once Qin arrived, they would be caught in a pincer attack, and they would be in an even worse state. The War Saint Beasts aimed their cannons at the Golden Claw family, and the family's soldiers gripped their weapons and looked at the Golden Claw family seriously, preparing to charge. The Golden Claw family understood the various families' goal and immediately ordered their people to retreat. They were only in charge of stopping these people and did not want to help Qin destroy them, nor did they want to suffer any losses. The various families felt delighted. They could tell that the Golden Claw family did not want to fight with them, so they still had a chance. Immediately order people to destroy the isolation formation and build more teleportation formations. We have to teleport everyone out as quickly as possible. The various families' experts and those who were proficient in formations quickly destroyed the isolation barriers in the sky, and they also constructed more teleportation channels on the ground. Their actions and speed were all quite hurried. The Golden Claw family was not in a rush, and they set up more teleportation channels. They were a bit slower than the other families, giving them some hope. They thought that they could leave by destroying the teleportation channels and not directly fight with the Golden Claw family. The Golden Claw family hated and feared Qin, and they did not want to help Qin at all. Boom! 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 Massive explosions sounded out as a black army giving off a massive aura flooded towards the various families, seeming unstoppable. The various families were given a big fright and ordered people to quickly construct defensive barriers and destroy isolation barriers. Others formed defensive formations and prepared to attack Qin. Right now, they could only form defensive formations to defend against Qin. Without the city walls and defensive formations, they were stuck here, and the situation was quite disadvantageous. They also had to be wary of the Golden Claw family next to them. Seeing that the Golden Claw family was helping Qin stop them, who knew if they would attack them? They were facing two terrifying factions, and both of them were stronger than them. Their expressions were quite unsightly. Boom! 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 The War Saint beasts on Qin's side shot out beams of light containing immense power that seemed to pierce through the sky. Xiao xiao xiao! The massive arrows turned into rays of light and gave off shocking power as they shot forwards, leaving behind trails in the air. The sounds they gave off were incredibly terrifying, and it seemed as if no one could stop them. The various families' saint beasts calmly shot out massive beams of light with all of their strength, shooting forwards with terrifying power. The soldiers gave off a wave of power, forming a massive defensive barrier to protect themselves. Bang bang bang, massive explosions sounded out as the beams of light from both sides clashed, resulting in massive explosions. White light shined in all directions, and terrifying shockwaves spread out. The ground violently trembled, and wild gales blew in all directions, causing rocks to fly everywhere. When the light dissipated, the defensive barriers of the various clans were destroyed. There were also many large craters, and there were broken corpses everywhere. Blood had already dyed the ground red. This wave of attacks caused many casualties to the various clans, causing the faces of the various alchemist clans to turn pale. Fear filled their hearts. Kill! Qin's soldiers had already rushed in front of them. They roared loudly and waved the weapons in their hands, killing the soldiers of the Qin clan. The two sides intensely clashed. A Qin soldier rushed up and stabbed his spear through the chest of a Qin soldier. Another Qin soldier roared as he raised his saber and slashed at a Qin soldier, sending him flying. A Qin soldier swung his massive axe, which contained terrifying power, and split a Qin soldier in half. A Qin soldier held a dagger and quickly slit a Qin soldier's throat. A Qin soldier furiously swung his sword, sending out a cold light that decapitated a Qin soldier. A Qin soldier roared and punched another Qin soldier, sending him flying. Arg, arg, pained cries and the sound of weapons clashing continuously sounded out as blood continuously flew everywhere. The stench of blood spread out, and the ground was covered with corpses, making it seem like hell. Roar! Roar! Massive roars sounded out as some of Qin's massive beasts also joined the battle. They ferociously attacked the Qin soldiers, sending them flying and biting them to death. Qin's side had the upper hand, and they continuously killed the Qin soldiers. The Qin soldiers all looked terrified as they retreated, unable to stop Qin's soldiers at all. The Golden Claw family's people felt quite shocked. This Qin's soldiers were quite ferocious. It was the first time they had seen a Heaven Awakened World faction force back a Heaven Awakened World faction. Now, the Golden Claw family felt quite glad that they had not directly attacked Qin, or else who knew what the consequences would have been. Apart from the intense battles here, there were also battles elsewhere. Qin's soldiers and the Qin family's soldiers fought intensely, as Qin's soldiers had a great advantage, and the Qin family's soldiers were not a match for them at all. The residents at the center looked at the Qin soldiers in terror, and some of them could not help but cry, feeling a deep sense of despair. The battles were simply too intense, and some family leaders personally went to the battlefield to kill. However, no matter what the Qin family did, they were unable to stop Qin's attacks. Seeing people continuously die, some family leaders could not take it anymore and knelt on the ground as they yelled, "Stop killing, I'm willing to surrender." Following this family leader's surrender, the battles gradually calmed down. Seeing this, the Golden Claw family thought about attacking the other Qin family factions. If Qin took in the Qin family factions, they would become even more powerful. They did not want to see such a result, and they submitted to the Golden Claw family. With these families joining them, the Golden Claw family's strength would greatly increase. The Qin family factions had not been able to stop Qin's attacks, and now that the Golden Claw family had joined in, the Qin family factions had no hope at all. Some chose to run, some chose to submit, and some died. Zhao Fu felt quite dissatisfied with the Golden Claw family's actions. This was clearly a fat piece of Qin's meat, but it had been taken away by them. This was especially so since they had submitted to the Golden Claw family because they were part of the Golden Claw family's race. This made many people approve of this, and as a result, many people submitted to the Golden Claw family. Zhao Fu now wanted to start a war against the Golden Claw family, but because the contract was not easy to break, he could only endure it for now. Zhao Fu could only endure it for now. Chapter 2380. Anyway, the contract was only for a year, so Zhao Fu only needed to wait for 1 year. Zhao Fu had never thought of letting the Golden Claw family go. He just wanted to use this 1 year to let Qin deal with all sorts of things and become more powerful before finally destroying the Golden Claw family. The war lasted for more than 4 days. Because there were too many families, Qin couldn't disperse all the soldiers and could only destroy them in batches. After calculating the results of the war, there were more than 20 billion people, more than 2 billion soldiers, and more than 3,000 war saint beasts. Although this was already a lot, it wasn't the best result. Many families either escaped successfully or submitted to the Golden Claw family. Even without these two reasons, Qin's gains would be greater. Now, Qin's total population in the alchemy world had reached 50 billion people. Most of them were alchemy people, and there were no other races. The second largest number of soldiers was 15 billion, and they were all stage 2 soldiers. Finally, Qin had more than 8,000 war saint beasts, and they would be even more destructive. The more war saint beasts the better. They were many times more terrifying than ordinary alchemy soldiers, and they could be Qin's trump cards. Apart from these things, there was something else that made Zhao Fu quite happy, which was that Qin finally had enough alchemy points to exchange for the Tao-seeking stone. This meant that he could exchange for the Tao-seeking stone now. Nothing was more important than this. Zhao Fu pushed everything to the back of his mind and came to the exchange stone steel. Qin's points instantly decreased by more than 90%. A black and white object that looked like jade, crystal, or stone floated out of the exchange stone steel, and it gave off the might of the heavenly Tao. This was the Tao-seeking stone. The Tao-seeking stone slowly descended. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and caught the Tao-seeking stone. It was a bit warm. Holding the Tao-seeking stone, Zhao Fu smiled. He had finally exchanged for it. Qin had worked hard for a few years. Zhao Fu left everything in the Qin territory to Wang Jian. Zhao Fu returned to the Qin territory alone and went to the formation pagoda. The spirit maiden appeared in the air with a smile on her face. "Your Majesty, what business do you have with me?" Zhao Fu retrieved the Tao querying stone and handed it to the spirit maiden with a smile. "I've already exchanged for the Tao querying stone. You can now forge the primordial cauldron and absorb the consciousness of otherworld." The spirit maiden accepted the Tao querying stone with elation. This item was far too important to her. "Thank you, Your Majesty," she said gratefully. Zhao Fu smiled and replied, "Yeah. Let's start forging the primordial great cauldron now." The spirit maiden nodded with a smile. After that, Zhao Fu and the spirit maiden arrived at an empty plot of land. The spirit maiden stood in front, preparing to forge the primordial cauldron, while Zhao Fu stood behind her and watched. The spirit maiden brought out an extremely heavy piece of black metal first. The power of her world enshrouded this piece of divine metal before lifting it into the air. The spirit maiden also raised her hand into the air. Forging a primordial cauldron was definitely not an easy task. Not only did it require all types of rare and precious divine materials, but it also required all things in heaven and earth as its foundation and the power of the world as its core. The piece of divine metal hovered in the air. The spirit maiden looked at it with her beautiful eyes as she raised her hand and made a grabbing motion. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion erupted, reverberating in all directions. Everything in the human world, including every flower, every blade of grass, every tree, every stream, every mountain, every person, and every living thing, a burst of invisible power erupted from their bodies. This power was not fate, nor was it some kind of aura. Instead, it was the essential power of all things in heaven and earth. This burst of power emerged uncontrollably, and their power and consciousness both decreased slightly. They didn't know what was going on, and they all looked toward the spirit maiden in the distance. As the consciousness of the human world, the spirit maiden could also be referred to as the heavenly Tao of the human world. She had the ability to draw upon the essential power of all things in heaven and earth. Boundless power emerged from all things in the human world before flying into the sky and surging toward the spirit maiden like a tidal wave. All types of auras enshrouded the entire sky, making it appear as if the entire sky had been dyed colorful. It was an extremely beautiful scene. There was also a powerful aura about them, making it difficult not to attract attention. The Qin commoners and generals didn't know what was going on, but they knew that it definitely had something to do with their majesty. All of the officials also gathered beside Zhao Fu. They were also very excited to see the primordial massive cauldron being forged. After all, Qin had sacrificed far too much for it. The colorful aura in the sky converged like a tidal wave, enshrouding the piece of divine metal and forming a massive circle that was several hundred meters in diameter. As the power of all things flowed into it, the circle became larger and larger, and it also gave off a powerful might. This kind of might came from all things in heaven and earth, and it was extremely powerful, as if it had locked down this entire area. Apart from Zhao Fu and the spirit maiden, everyone else felt a sense of pressure. However, none of the people present were weak. They were all important officials of Qin, and they were all very powerful, so they were able to resist this might. The spirit maiden waved her hand, and one item after another appeared around her. There was a crystal-like bead, a rotten piece of wood, a hand bone, a horn, and a clump of soil. These were all the materials needed to forge the primordial massive cauldron, and each of them was very precious. Qin had spent a lot of effort to collect them, and there were more than 1,000 of them in total. The spirit maiden stretched out her hand, and all of these materials flew into the sky, shooting into a massive colorful ball. The spirit maiden closed her eyes, and her consciousness fused into that massive ball. The various materials within the ball were scattered, and the divine metal was at the very center. The The Spirit Maiden controlled the power of all things to envelop those materials, and the powerful power melted them all, turning them into balls of liquids of various colors. However, the divine metal at the very center was not that easy to melt, so the Spirit Maiden could only gather more power of all things. Countless people felt more and more power emerge from the ball, and their bodies were visibly weakening. They couldn't afford to have any mishaps, or else everything in Qin would be affected. Even more power of all things fused into the ball, and the ball became several thousand meters in size, exuding an even more powerful might that enveloped the surroundings. Under the power of all things, the piece of divine metal also melted, turning into a black liquid that exuded the power of divine metal. This power was very thick and very pure, and it was as hard as the divine metal. The Spirit Maiden controlled the surrounding liquids to move toward the black divine metal at the center, and they all fused into the black liquid. The black liquid was originally divine metal, and its color hadn't changed. It was still very black, but it had become much larger, reaching 2 meters in size. The Spirit Maiden's consciousness returned to her body, and she pulled out a black and white material that looked like a stone, jade, and crystal. This was the Tao-seeking stone. Chapter 2381. After taking out the Tao-seeking stone, the Spirit Maiden sent a powerful wave of power of heaven and earth into it. The Tao-seeking stone gave off an intense black and white light and floated up from the Spirit Maiden's hand before slowly rising into the air and turning into a massive Tai Chi diagram. This Tai Chi diagram slowly rose up and came to the bottom of the massive rainbow ball. The power of all things in the surroundings fused into it, and the Tai Chi diagram seemed to have gained something as it gave off a powerful ripple. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the Tai Chi diagram below the ball started to spin. The ball was covered by a massive aura of the heavenly Tao, and wisps of aura continuously floated out. These wisps of aura were the impurities of all things, and the Tai Chi diagram was purifying the power of all things. More and more wisps of aura floated out of the ball, and its size became smaller and smaller. In the end, a rainbow ball that was only 10 meters wide appeared in the sky, giving off a faint light. Even though it was only 10 meters wide, the aura it gave off was much more powerful than when it was 10,000 meters wide. The Tai Chi diagram below the ball continued to slowly spin. There were no changes. The Spirit Maiden took out a ball of flames that gave off different colored lights and powerful divine power. This was the God Flame that Zhao Fu had obtained from the God Realm. Under the Spirit Maiden's control, the God Flame slowly flew into the sky and fused into the massive Tai Chi diagram. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion sounded out as flames of all different colors ignited from the Tai Chi diagram. The immense heat seemed to melt the air, and the sky became multicolored. The moisture on the ground and in the air evaporated, and the air became extremely dry. Everyone below could feel the immense heat, and they felt as if they were next to a furnace, causing beads of sweat to appear on their foreheads. Countless colorful flames that exuded the power of the gods burned the 10-meter-wide sphere. The ball slowly became smaller. Finally, a ball of liquid that was 3 meters wide appeared before everyone, giving off an astonishing power of all things. The Spirit Maiden stretched out a hand and raised it. The Tai Chi diagram that was giving off countless rainbow-colored flames slowly became smaller and fused into the black liquid. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the black liquid fused into the Tai Chi diagram, giving off a massive wave of power. It was like the true heavenly Tao, and it could control all things in the world. The Spirit Maiden closed her eyes, and specks of spiritual light gathered between her brows, forming an orb of light that was only the size of a thumb. However, it emanated a powerful will of the heavenly Tao. At this moment, the Spirit Maiden's consciousness, or soul power, contained the will of heaven and earth. Right now, the Spirit Maiden was using her consciousness to construct the shape of the primordial cauldron. After a while, the spirit maiden opened her eyes again, and the ball of light between her brows quickly flew into the black liquid. Boom! At that moment the entire world's power suddenly fused into the black liquid, and a vast power spread out from the sky. The sky changed color, the sun and moon lost their light, and the wind and clouds surged. Everyone in Great Chine felt this wave of power, and their bodies felt incredibly cold. They felt as if they were a small boat in the middle of an ocean, incredibly small and powerless. The black liquid began to change, slowly turning into a blurry, three-legged cauldron. Worldly power continued to pour in and the liquid slowly solidified, turning into metal. Finally, a 3-meter black iron cauldron appeared. It was a black iron cauldron that shone with a black luster. There were all sorts of mountains, rivers, birds, beasts, and even human patterns on it. Its 3 legs were like 3 black dragons. At the bottom of the cauldron was a Tai Chi diagram, and inside the cauldron was a small, colorful flame. The cauldron floated in the air, giving off a faint light. It also gave off the might of the heavens and the earth, as if it was a supreme treasure of the heavens and the earth. In front of it, everything else paled in comparison. Rumble! Suddenly, countless claps of thunder sounded out, and countless massive bolts of lightning appeared without any warning, striking the cauldron with destructive power. The cauldron gave off a clear sound. Zhao Fu's heart jumped. The great desolation cauldron had caused heavenly punishment. Countless bolts of lightning continuously fell from the sky, turning the sky into a sea of lightning. It gave off a power that could destroy everything, and it was extremely terrifying. Everyone in the surrounding 10,000 kilometers felt their hairs stand on end. Crackle, the sky seemed to explode, and countless bolts of lightning ferociously struck the great desolation cauldron, wanting to destroy everything. The scene was extremely terrifying. The spirit maiden did not panic. With a serious expression, she stretched out a hand to control the great desolation cauldron. It gave off countless rays of black light, blocking the countless bolts of lightning. The countless bolts of lightning were weakened by the black light, and they did not cause much damage to the cauldron. However, more and more bolts of lightning appeared in the sky, and they did not dissipate. Instead, they gave off a world-destroying aura. When the living beings sensed this aura, they felt as if they had been plunged into boundless darkness. They felt extreme terror, and their bodies trembled. The spirit maiden's expression also became serious. The heavenly punishment had already been upgraded to the 2nd level, and its destructive power would become even stronger. However, the sea of lightning in the sky suddenly disappeared, leaving not a single bolt of lightning behind. It was as if it had never appeared in the first place. The spirit maiden and the others were stunned, not understanding what had happened. Why did the sea of lightning suddenly disappear? Zhao Fu raised his head to look at the sky and frowned. He felt a little strange, as if someone had glanced at him. However, Zhao Fu did not discover anyone. As the master of the 3 realms, there should not be anyone in the 3 realms that could escape his senses. However, he did not sense anyone, but he had a feeling that someone had seen him. Zhao Fu could not understand what was going on, but he did not think about it anymore. Now that the heavenly punishment had disappeared, the great desolation cauldron could be considered completed. From now on, the spirit maiden could use it to devour the will of the world. The spirit maiden stretched out her hand, and the great desolation cauldron flew in front of her. It shone with a faint light. Zhao Fu took the great desolation cauldron and took a closer look. He discovered that it was indeed very powerful. It was another supreme tool. As mentioned before, Zhao Fu wanted to forge the Great Desolation Cauldron as a world-stabilizing tool for the human realm. At first, he was a little worried that it would not be suitable, but after sensing its power, he discovered that it was very suitable. This was because the Great Desolation Cauldron was forged from the power of heaven and earth in the human realm. It could be said that there was nothing more suitable than it as a world-stabilizing tool for the human realm. Zhao Fu used the 10,000 God Spear as his world-stabilizing tool, while the human realm used the Great Desolation Cauldron as its world-stabilizing tool. Originally, Zhao Fu did not have anything suitable for the Earth realm. However, after constructing the reincarnation wheel, things were different. Zhao Fu could use the 9 paths of reincarnation as the world-stabilizing tool for the Earth realm. The world-stabilizing tools of the 3 realms were all gathered. From now on, they would all serve as world-stabilizing tools to stabilize the laws and fate of the world. They would also grow along with the world, eventually becoming an intimidating existence like the Divine Realm's Haotian mirror. Chapter 2382. After Zhao Fu was done inspecting the Great Wilderness Cauldron, he handed it back to the Spirit Maiden, who placed it back into her body. After that, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden returned to the Formation Pagoda. Zhao Fu had the Spirit Maiden demonstrate how to devour the consciousnesses of other world. The Spirit Maiden was only the consciousness of the human world, not the consciousnesses of other worlds. As such, she could only control the heaven and earth of the human world. Only by devouring the consciousnesses of other worlds could the Spirit Maiden control the abilities of other worlds. Only then would the 3 realms truly be under Qin's control. After the Spirit Maiden devoured these consciousnesses, the worlds would truly fuse into one. This would be very beneficial to the 3 realms' transformation, and it would also shorten the time needed for the 3 realms' transformation. After returning to the Formation Pagoda, the Spirit Maiden sat within the spell formation within the pagoda and closed her eyes as she began to devour the consciousnesses of other worlds. Zhao Fu could sense that the Spirit Maiden was exuding a massive suction force. Not only were the auras of other worlds surging toward her from all over the human world, but the auras of the Heaven Realm and the Earth Realm were also surging toward her. These auras surged into the Spirit Maiden's body, and the Great Wilderness Cauldron within her body released a massive power of heaven and earth, absorbing all of the auras into the cauldron. The rainbow-colored flame within the cauldron became very large and exuded a scorching heat. The auras that had been refined within the cauldron continuously drifted out and were absorbed by the Spirit Maiden. Right now, the Spirit Maiden wasn't refining worlds other than the human world. Instead, she was refining the Heaven Realm and the Earth Realm together. The speed at which she was refining the consciousnesses of a world was quite average. If she wanted to devour the consciousnesses of a world, it would take her a while. She couldn't devour an entire world in a short amount of time. This was related to the Spirit Maiden's own strength. If she became more powerful, her speed of devouring would also become faster. Zhao Fu didn't disturb the Spirit Maiden and allowed her to continue refining the consciousnesses of other worlds. After a while, Zhao Fu returned to Qin's palace. Qin's original plan was to complete a few things. The first thing was to construct the Great Wilderness Cauldron, which had already been completed. The second thing was to find the Immortal Realm and draw upon its power to transform the Heaven Realm. This required him to find the Immortal Realm Rift or the Half-Immortal Realm. These 2 things were extremely rare, and Zhao Fu didn't have any information about them. He had called everyone here to discuss this and see if they had any other solutions. Naturally, he didn't. The Immortal Realm was a higher realm and had its own laws. Qin's current level was too low to come into contact with such things, let alone solve such problems. In the end, Zhao Fu had no choice but to ask that higher being from Emperor Path College. It definitely knew more than Zhao Fu, and as a higher being, it knew more about these things. Zhao Fu really didn't have a choice. Otherwise, he didn't want to bother it. Zhao Fu was quite grateful to this supreme being. It had helped Zhao Fu many times and had even helped Zhao Fu with various things. In the future, Zhao Fu would definitely repay this supreme being. After arriving at the Heaven Spirit Stele, Zhao Fu asked it about this. The higher being was not there, so Zhao Fu waited for a while before the higher being replied and asked, "Why are you looking for these things? They're extremely rare, and even Saint-class forces have a hard time finding them. Looking at these words, Zhao Fu felt quite nervous. Celestial world cracks and half-celestial worlds were far more difficult to find than he had expected, and it was possible that the higher being did not know about them. "They're very useful," Zhao Fu replied. The higher being replied, "I don't know where there are celestial world cracks or half-celestial worlds. Ordinary half-celestial worlds are occupied by Saint-class forces, so you won't be able to fight with them over half-celestial world." Zhao Fu felt quite disappointed and replied, Got it." At that moment, the higher being said, "Since you want to find celestial world cracks and half-celestial worlds, I have a method. Do you want to try it? I can't guarantee that I'll be able to find them." Having a method was better than not having a method at all, and Zhao Fu replied in delight, "All right. I'll be troubling you." Following this, the higher being started to explain the method. Celestial world cracks were quite difficult to create, and they were normally formed when a celestial world collided with a lower realm. This was quite terrifying because the celestial world was a higher-level realm, while the lower realm was a lower-level realm. If a higher-level realm cracks appeared because of the collision, the lower realm would definitely be destroyed, and that world might even be destroyed. These celestial world cracks would be very big, and a large amount of celestial energy would leak out. However, it was also possible that the celestial world cracks would automatically repair themselves. The second type was when a terrifying battle occurred. This type of crack was relatively small, but the battle was extremely terrifying. How terrifying was the power needed to create a crack in the celestial world? It was very difficult for ordinary celestials to descend, so ordinary celestials would not be able to do it. If they wanted to do it, they would need power that far surpassed celestials. Zhao Fu did not know if 6 Desires Immortal, who had already become an celestial, could do it. 6 Desires Immortal's power was already very terrifying, and after becoming an celestial for so many years, his power exceeded everyone's imagination. There was also the Alchemy World's Alchemy Primogenitor. An existence like him was the most terrifying existence that Zhao Fu could imagine. Such a person would definitely be able to destroy the celestial world and go to the lower realm at any time. However, these kinds of cracks were quite easy to heal. Unless it was a world-shaking battle that even the celestial world could not heal, they would not be able to leave behind any crack. These kinds of cracks were extremely dangerous, and the remnant power of experts could easily kill anyone who came close. It was likely that even celestials would not dare to go near them. Celestial world cracks were incredibly dangerous and were quite difficult to find. However, they also had great benefits, which was that the celestial qi that leaked out was the purest celestial qi. The second type was the half-celestial world. Zhao Fu had heard about the half-celestial world before. It was a small world between the upper realm and the lower realm. Because it was very close to the celestial world, it had been corroded by celestial qi for a long time and gradually became a half-celestial world. These kinds of half-celestial worlds had many cracks and were quite safe. However, they were usually occupied by factions, and it was very difficult to find an uninhabited half-celestial world. Another disadvantage was that the celestial qi there was quite low purity. The method that the higher being had given to Zhao Fu was to first find a world heart. After all, a world heart was the core of a world. Not only did it contain the power of all things in the world, but it also contained the laws of the world. After obtaining a world heart, Zhao Fu could leave the heaven-awakened world and enter the boundless void and rely on the world heart's senses to find half-celestial worlds and crack. Zhao Fu had a world heart, such as the human world's world heart. Before, Zhao Fu had been to the core of the world and seen the world heart. Even though Zhao Fu had a world heart, he could not take it away. After all, a world heart was the core of a world, and if he took it away, the world could be destroyed. Zhao Fu could not destroy the human world just to find a celestial world crack. Moreover, after entering the boundless void, there were unknown dangers everywhere, and Zhao Fu did not know what he would encounter. In order to quickly travel through the boundless void, the higher being had given Zhao Fu a void ring. Chapter 2383. The heavenly void ring was very powerful and was a precious treasure that could be used in the boundless void. It could allow one to instantly travel across several worlds. The boundless void was truly vast and boundless. If one relied on flying, they would not be able to explore the boundless void at all. It was possible that they would only be able to fly for a short distance in their lifetime and die without exploring anything. Zhao Fu was very grateful to this mighty figure from the bottom of his heart. After saying a few more words of thanks, he ended his conversation with the mighty figure. Zhao Fu thought about how to deal with this matter. He had a method now, but it was very difficult to do. For example, he had to prepare the realm core first. Where should he go to find one? The realm core was the core of a world, and the will of the world would protect it with all its might. Furthermore, the realm core was located in the deepest part of the world. It would be very difficult to obtain it without destroying a world. Zhao Fu suddenly thought of the Spirit Maiden. As the manifestation of the will of the world, she also possessed the power of laws of heaven and earth. He wondered if she had a powerful sensory ability. With this in mind, Zhao Fu went to the spell formation tower again. At this moment, the Spirit Maiden was still the same as before. She was sitting cross-legged on the spell formation with her eyes closed, refining the consciousnesses of other worlds. Spirit Maiden. Stop for a moment, I have something to ask you, Zhao Fu said to the Spirit Maiden. Hearing this, the Spirit Maiden opened her eyes with a confused expression. What is it? Zhao Fu told her what had just happened. A smile appeared on the Spirit Maiden's face. I do have the ability to sense other worlds, but I'm not confident that I can find the half-immortal realm or the spatial rift. They are all beings of a higher rank than me. Zhao Fu chuckled. That's all right, I don't have any other way. This is the only way, so I have to give it a try. Seeing as the Spirit Maiden had the ability to sense other worlds, Zhao Fu did not need to search for the realm core. This had solved a very troublesome problem. After that, Zhao Fu prepared to explore the boundless void. He asked the Spirit Maiden to stop refining the consciousnesses of other worlds and find the spatial rift to the half-immortal realm first. As for refining the consciousnesses of other worlds, he could do so at any time with the Great Wilderness Cauldron. Before leaving, Zhao Fu arranged Qin's affairs. Bai Qi and Li Si were in charge of Qin's affairs. Zhao Fu felt more at ease leaving the two of them to handle. In the past, everything had been handled by them. The Heaven Realm's matters were left to the Pantheon Goddess to deal with. Zhao Fu originally wanted to have Mie Lu oversee the Pantheon Goddess. She had an Emperor's star and was only weaker than Zhao Fu, and ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm experts would be easily killed by her. With her overseeing the Pantheon Temple, there was almost no need to worry about any experts invading and developing any dangers. She could also play a big role. However, Mie Lu was currently cultivating in seclusion. Since the last time she returned to Qin City and obtained Zhao Fu's perfect level of power of all deities, she had entered the state of cultivation and had not come out until now. She was already at the peak of the Emperor Heaven Realm, and if she broke through again, she would become a Void Realm expert, a Spirit Realm expert, a Tao Realm expert, and a Tao Realm expert. Finally, she would become a higher being. The Void Realm, Spirit Realm, and Tao Realm were the three most difficult realms to break through, and they were dozens of times more difficult than breaking through to the Emperor Heaven Realm. Many geniuses were stuck at the Emperor Heaven Realm and could not take another step forward. Even though these three realms were difficult to break through, breaking through would allow one to become a higher being and stand at the peak of this world. After higher beings were half-immortals and true celestials. They could directly ascend to a true celestial world and have almost limitless lifespan. Zhao Fu had only broken through to the Emperor Heaven Realm not long ago, and he was still a long way from the Void Realm. He was even further from becoming a higher being. Since Mia Lu could not oversee the Pantheon goddess, Zhao Fu, Shen Qianhua, and Yu Chan could. They were both Emperor Heaven Realm experts and peerless geniuses, and they were not weak at all. The Earth domain had been developing quite smoothly and nothing big had happened, so it was not a problem to leave it to the Yellow Springs Queens. The only thing that Zhao Fu had to pay attention to was the Yellow Springs Emperor Cavalry. Zhao Fu had been paying great attention to them, and they were still absorbing Yellow Springs' power to grow. Zhao Fu had the 12 Yellow Springs Queens keep an eye on this and immediately report to Qin if anything happened. The outer world was left to Ericina and Bai Shihan to manage. Right now, what Zhao Fu cared about the most was the alchemy world. The other worlds were developing smoothly, but there might be problems in the alchemy world. Qin was becoming more and more famous in that region, and it was possible that he had attracted the attention of many families like the Golden Claw family. Perhaps they would attack Qin one day. As such, Zhao Fu told him to develop carefully and not to be too ostentatious. After taking care of these matters, Zhao Fu and Ling Ji went to the boundary of the human world. The human world was a new world, and it was at the corner of the Heaven Awaken world. The other side was facing the boundless void. Zhao Fu took out a gray metal ring and threw it forward. The ring floated in the air and gave off a massive power as it became bigger and bigger. Finally, a 3-meter-long metal ring appeared. There were inscriptions on the metal ring, and it gave off a faint light. The inside of the ring was completely dark, and it was impossible to see what was inside. Zhao Fu and Ling Ji entered the ring and felt a massive power pulling at their bodies, and their surroundings changed. The boundless void felt quite similar to the bottomless ruins. There was nothing in many places, and it was completely dark and deathly silent. Now, Zhao Fu and Ling Ji were quite far away from the Heaven Awaken world. Zhao Fu looked around and did not discover anything. He said to Ling Ji, "Can you sense around and see if you can find anything?" Ling Ji lightly nodded and closed her eyes to sense her surroundings. After a while, she opened her eyes and said, "I can't sense anything." Zhao Fu did not say anything and took back the metal ring before throwing it out again. The ring became as big as before. Following this, Zhao Fu and Ling Ji entered it again. By now, Zhao Fu and Ling Ji had arrived at another place. There was still nothing here, but there were massive stars in the sky, giving off all kinds of starlight. They gave off a resplendent light in the night sky, creating a beautiful scene. This place was called the Starry Ocean. The boundless void was not completely empty, and just like the bottomless ruins, there were many starry oceans. The Starry Ocean was an ocean made up of stars, and it looked beautiful but was also quite dangerous. There were extremely powerful star beasts that had the power to destroy an entire world. Exploring the boundless void was not safer than exploring the bottomless ruins. There were all kinds of dangers here, and the bottomless ruins was just more monstrous. Higher beings could die at any time, and higher beings had the power to protect themselves in the boundless void. Chapter 2384. Zhao Fu did not try to sense it himself and said, "Spirit Maiden, sense it and see if there's anything." For some unknown reason, there were many worlds in the Star Sea. Most of these worlds were dust worlds, which were similar to the human world or even smaller worlds. Apart from dust worlds, it was possible to find some rare worlds or even half-celestial worlds. However, there were very few half-celestial worlds in the Star Ocean, as half-celestial worlds were higher-level worlds and would not stay together with dust worlds. In actuality, no matter what world they came from or what faction, once they moved to a half-celestial world, they would be cut off from their original world and would no longer belong to their original world. For example, if a powerful faction in the Heaven Awakened world became a saint-grade faction and found a half-celestial world, they would all move there. They would no longer have the Heaven Awakened world's fate and would no longer be controlled by the Heaven Awakened world. No matter how the Heaven Awakened world affected them, it would not affect them. It could be said that they had broken free from all restraints and were incredibly relaxed. In the future, if they developed in a half-celestial world, they would have some celestial world fate, saint-grade power, or celestial world power. Because of this, people from saint-grade factions would not go to worlds that were lower than their own and would only stay in a half-celestial world or go to a celestial world. Moreover, the half-immortal world was a world between two worlds. There weren't many half-immortal worlds. Moreover, there were big and small half-immortal worlds. Small half-immortal worlds were usually occupied by a saint-rank power. If it was a big half-immortal world, there might be several saint-rank powers occupying it. Spirit Maiden closed her eyes and sensed for a while before saying, "I still haven't sensed anything." Zhao Fu felt a bit disappointed and continued to search with Spirit Maiden. A few hours later, Zhao Fu and Spirit Maiden came to another star ocean. Before they did anything, they sensed terrifying battle ripples. These battle ripples were incredibly massive, and in front of them, they felt incredibly small. It was as if they were standing there and looking at a massive star. Sensing these ripples, Zhao Fu and Spirit Maiden looked at each other and immediately hid their auras as they followed the ripples. 10 or so minutes later, it was a 10,000-meter-long fish that looked like a catfish. It had violet scales and 4 black eyes. Its gaze was cold and deep, and it gave off a massive amount of starry sky energy. There was also a 10,000-meter-long bug that looked like a caterpillar. It was blue and had long metal needles on its body. It did not have eyes and also gave off massive starry sky power. Both of them were star beasts, and mature star beasts were 10,000 meters long. They had terrifying destructive power, and star beasts were famous for their size. 2 huge star beasts were fighting intensely. The starfish vigorously swung its tail, giving off a terrifying power as it sent a star insect flying. The star beast let out a huge roar, opened its mouth and shot out a huge beam of light at the starfish. The starfish released a powerful starry sky power, which formed a semicircular barrier in front of it. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the beam of light struck the barrier with terrifying power, causing it to shatter. However, it did not harm the starfish at all. The starfish gave off a massive aura as it vigorously smashed towards the starbug, and the starbug also smashed towards the starfish. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the 2 terrifying powers collided, causing a shock wave to ripple out. Zhao Fu looked at these 2 star beasts and thought about it. This was the first time he had seen star beasts, so he planned to properly study them. Moreover, the star beasts were only at the world realm, so Zhao Fu decided to act. Xing! Zhao Fu drew the emperor-killing sword and gave off a massive aura as he rushed at the 2 star beasts. He vigorously slashed out, sending out an enormous sword light that sent the star bug flying. After being sent flying, a gash appeared on the star bug's body, from which blue blood flowed out. The starfish looked quite startled, and had never thought that it would suddenly discover something like this. It looked at the other side, and Zhao Fu found that it was just a tiny thing. Roar! The starfish opened its mouth and spat out an enormous orb of energy, which gave off terrifying power as it shot towards Zhao Fu, seeming to be able to destroy a mountain. Zhao Fu disdainfully laughed and vigorously slashed out with his sword. A sharp sword light flashed out, slashing apart the enormous orb of energy, which turned into countless motes of light and dissipated. Boom! Zhao Fu gave off a massive aura as he rushed towards the starfish. He quickly came before it and raised his sword, sending a powerful wave of power into it, causing the sword to give off an intense light. The starfish felt a wave of terror and turned, wanting to run. Xing! A massive sword hum sounded out as an enormous sword light containing enough power to split apart space slashed towards the starfish, sending it flying back. A massive gash appeared on the right side of its body, from which blood continuously flowed out. Even though the starfish only had world realm power, whether it was defense or destructive power, it was far stronger than ordinary world realm experts. Ordinary world realm experts would have long since been killed by a single strike from Zhao Fu. However, the starfish was only slightly injured and had not been killed by the sword strike. After being sent flying by Zhao Fu, the starfish felt incredibly furious and was about to attack Zhao Fu. However, seeing how terrifying Zhao Fu was, it immediately turned and ran. Zhao Fu's gaze became cold and the golden pupil in his left eye quickly spun as a terrifying power spread out. Shing, 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 massive chains containing terrifying power shot out from all directions, densely packed as they quickly shot towards the astral worm. Massive sounds of chains rang out in the air. Chi, chi, muffled explosions sounded out as blood flew everywhere. The massive chains pierced through the starfish's body, and it howled as it died. Seeing Zhao Fu, a look of terror appeared in the starfish's eyes, and it did not hesitate to turn and run. Zhao Fu's body disappeared and appeared next to the starfish. He vigorously slashed out, hitting the wound on the starfish's body. The starfish's body was split in half, and it did not even have the time to howl before it died. Following this, Zhao Fu started to examine the starfish's corpse. Before heading to the boundless void, Zhao Fu had gathered some information. The boundless void was not as dangerous as the bottomless ruins, and void realm experts could barely explore it. As such, there was a lot of information about the boundless void. Zhao Fu could use this information to gain a basic understanding of the boundless void. Among the information, there was a lot of information about star beasts. Some described the star beasts' powerful abilities, special materials, and some of their living habits. Now, Zhao Fu wanted to personally understand star beasts. Chapter 2385. The first was the various materials from the star beasts' bodies, such as their scales, skin, eyes, horns, and bones. Apart from having star attributes, they also contained a portion of the world's powers. They were quite high-grade materials and could be used to make many things. The Heaven Awakened World's experts would also go into the boundless void to kill star beasts and obtain many materials. Zhao Fu only examined the materials and did not break them all down. This was because the star beast was 10,000 meters long, and it would take a lot of time to break down the materials on its body. Zhao Fu did not want to waste time on these materials. Clang! A sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu slashed out with his sword, sending out a sword light that split open the starfish's corpse, and a 2-meter-wide silver orb appeared. This silver orb seemed like metal, but it didn't seem like metal. There were some circular runes on its surface, and it gave off a faint light and a trace of star energy. The sphere was called the Star Core, and it was the source of the star beast's power. The power it contained was enormous, and it could be used by other creatures. After other creatures absorbed the Star Core, they would obtain a portion of the star beast's power and abilities. This thing was the most valuable thing from a star beast, and it was also useful to Zhao Fu. With it, Zhao Fu could nurture a group of star beasts. As for Xinghai, these pure star beasts were very difficult to subdue. They had very strong resistance and immunity to the restrictions of various worlds. It was not just the Heaven Awakened World's people who were unable to subdue star beasts. People from the other outer world and alchemy worlds were unable to subdue star beasts either. Zhao Fu swung his sword again and slashed at the astral worm's corpse, taking out a astral core. This astral core was the same as the other astral cores. There were not many changes. After putting away the 2 star cores, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden continued onward. A few days later, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden stopped in a sea of stars. During this time, they encountered a dozen or so star beasts, all of which were slain by Zhao Fu. He obtained a dozen or so star cores, but he didn't take any of the materials. Apart from these gains, Zhao Fu did not discover anything else. Zhao Fu turned his gaze toward the Spirit Maiden and didn't say anything. The Spirit Maiden understood and closed her eyes to sense her surroundings. Suddenly, the Spirit Maiden was elated. "Your Majesty!" I sensed a fluctuation in the southwest direction. "There should be a world there." Hearing this, Zhao Fu was delighted. He had finally made a discovery. Without any hesitation, Zhao Fu immediately flew forward with the Spirit Maiden and arrived in front of a barrier. The World Barrier could also be called the World Barrier. Its main function was to protect the world and separate it from the endless void. This was because the endless void was quite dangerous. Take the star beasts for example. If they barged into a world that did not have the ability to cultivate, they would cause great damage. Therefore, there had to be something to stop them. At the same time, it could also be used for chanting. The barrier could conceal an entire world. Right now, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden were standing in front of a vast expanse of nothingness. Unless they were extremely powerful, they wouldn't even be able to detect the presence of the barrier. The world isolation prevented anything from entering, so Zhao Fu had no way of entering directly. However, this did not stop Zhao Fu. Ever since Zhao Fu became the Lord of the Three Realms, he had grasped the power of heaven and earth, as well as the laws of the world. Even the world barrier was formed from the power of heaven and earth. Zhao Fu could use the same type of power to break through this barrier. Zhao Fu extended a hand and placed it on the world barrier. A burst of power of heaven and earth surged forth from his palm and injected into the world barrier. Waves of light proliferated outward. Normal people might not be able to see them, but Zhao Fu could sense that a net had appeared in front of him. The threads of the net were the laws, and the countless threads of laws formed this net in front of Zhao Fu. Combined with the power of heaven and earth, this net formed the world barrier. Zhao Fu extended a hand and twisted forcefully. The net was torn apart by a powerful force, and a large hole appeared in front of Zhao Fu. On the other side of the hole was a blue sky with white clouds and a radiant sun. This was completely different from the boundless void that Zhao Fu was situated in. Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden entered this world. After arriving in this world, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden stood in the sky of this world, looking down at the world below them. All of the plants and creatures in this world had their own unique characteristics, which were different from the worlds that Zhao Fu had seen in the past. For example, the plants here were not very tall. The tallest trees were only around 10 meters tall, while the average trees were only 4 or 5 meters tall. All of their leaves were blue and drooped softly, and their branches felt like rocks. The ground was also blue, and most of the flowers and plants growing here were also blue. They were also quite small. Zhao Fu stood there and sensed his surroundings, and a disappointed expression appeared on his face. This world was not a half-immortal realm. Instead, it was a normal world of dust. Furthermore, it was the lowest-level world of dust. The spiritual power here was very sparse, and there was no way to cultivate here. There were two paths of evolution for a world like this. The first path was for a world to grow over a long period of time and construct more complete laws of heaven and earth, which would allow the world to have spirit chi. The creatures living here would then be able to use spirit chi to cultivate and enter the era of a cultivation world. A cultivation world in the boundless void had a very big advantage, as most worlds walked the path of cultivation. The second path was the path of technology. Worlds that walked this path did not have any spirit chi, so they could only walk the path of technology and rely on powerful technology to grow. Even though they had no choice but to walk the path of technology, once technology became more powerful, it would be incredibly terrifying. For example, the human world in the past had airplanes, artillery shells, tanks, and machine guns. With these technological products, if other Ashen worlds invaded, they would be able to resist. They would not suffer a crushing defeat and be slaughtered by others. It was a pity that the great thousand world that devoured the human world was the heaven-awakened world, and the heaven-awakened world walked the path of cultivation. As such, the human world's technology was wiped out, and humans could only cultivate from scratch. This caused the human world to be at a great disadvantage. If other cultivation worlds attacked, they would not be able to resist at all and would only be slaughtered. If it was a great thousand world that focused on technology, after devouring the human world, they would keep all of their technology. However, there were differences in technological civilizations, and it was possible for the human world to be suppressed by higher-level technology without being able to retaliate at all. Compared to worlds of the same level, the cultivation world had a greater advantage. For example, they had many things that low-level technology could not do. For example, the cultivation world could set up an illusion formation, causing people to kill each other. Moreover, the people of the cultivation world all had shocking strength and could easily shatter boulders. They were many times faster than ordinary people, and those who did not cultivate would definitely die if they faced them. They even had ways to control people, turning them into puppets. If they controlled the higher-ups, it would be a disaster. Chapter 2386. If they wanted to resist such a cultivation world, they would need to possess higher-level technology and not be at the same level as those cultivation worlds. A more advanced technology world could make up for many of their advantages. The cultivators of a cultivation world were powerful, but they could use mechas to defend against them. The cultivators of a cultivation world had magic formations, but they could use technology to destroy magic formations. The cultivators of a cultivation world could control people and turn them into their puppets, and the cultivators of a technological world could also use advanced technology to defend against the cultivators of a cultivation world. However, if a more advanced technology world encountered a cultivation world of the same level, it would still lose miserably. This was because a more advanced cultivation world had more powerful methods, and if one wanted to break through it, they would need more advanced technology. That was why the technological world was at a disadvantage. In the boundless void, most worlds focused on cultivation, and very few took the path of technology. For a period of time, the human world had been a cultivation world, so there were many myths and legends. Some of the stories were quite exaggerated, but some were true. After the human world's spirit chi dissipated and the world entered an age of decline, they chose to take the path of technology. Zhao Fu knew the reason for this. The spirit maiden was the consciousness of the human world. It would be strange if Zhao Fu did not know about this. However, in the ancient world, which was the era of Nuwa and Fuxi, the human world had established its laws and had abundant spirit chi. Not only were there all sorts of powerful people, but there were also countless terrifying beasts. There were even some powerful beings and beasts that broke through the barriers and entered the boundless void, such as Nuwa, Fuxi, Hutu, the Yellow Emperor, Laozi, Confucius. After entering the boundless void, there was no news of these human beings, and no one knew if they were dead or alive. Perhaps Zhao Fu would meet them in the future. After the human world's cultivation flourished for a period of time, it faced a massive crisis. Back then, the human world had been quite unlucky. For some reason, two unimaginably peerless beings had engaged in a massive battle, shattering the void and destroying all living things. The Spirit Maiden clearly remembered that battle. It was definitely a battle between two beings who were even more powerful than celestials. The human world happened to be nearby and was affected by the shock waves of the battle, causing a large amount of spirit chi to dissipate. Even after so many years, the Spirit Maiden was still unable to repair the world. The shock waves heavily damaged the human world, and the spirit chi quickly decreased. In the end, the Spirit Maiden managed to retain a very small amount of spirit chi to ensure that the human world's cultivation legacies would not be severed, and the main body of the world entered the technological world. However, what the Spirit Maiden didn't expect was that the Heaven-Awakened world would sense its existence and use its world-devouring ability against it. After that, the human world was devoured by the Heaven-Awakened world and became independent, forming a new world. The Spirit Maiden was no longer the ruler of all living things. Zhao Fu was the ruler of the human world. In the endless void, there were many worlds like the human world. They were like specks of dust, which was why they were called the dust world. A great thousand world like the Heaven-Awakened world was a top-tier world within the boundless void, and there was no world higher than it. A great thousand world was a boundless world. There were many levels of worlds in between. The boundless world was the highest level world, while the dust world was the lowest level world. The Spirit Maiden was also a little disappointed as she said, "Your Majesty, let's leave and continue searching for the half-immortal realm." This was just a dust world. Moreover, it was a world without spirit chi, making it impossible to cultivate. It was not what Zhao Fu was looking for. However, after thinking about it, Zhao Fu said, "Don't worry. Let me take a look at this primitive dust world first." It was the first time that Zhao Fu had come to such a primitive world, so he was quite interested and wanted to see what it was like. The Spirit Maiden felt quite surprised and lightly nodded. Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden gave off massive auras as they quickly flew forwards and stopped in the sky above a tribe. The tribe was in a primitive state, and the houses were all inspected with mud and leaf. The weapons in their hands were all quite crude, and they were made of stone or bone. They did not even know how to refine metal. Most of the people living here were humanoid, but they only had 4 fingers. They were tall and skinny, and their skin was blue. Their eyes were very big and round. The auras that they gave off did not belong to humans, outlanders, demon race, or metallurgy race. Instead, they belonged to a completely new race. Seeing Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden in the sky, the people of the tribe, regardless of whether they were male or female, young or old, all looked excited or fearful. They knelt down and worshipped Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden as they spoke in a strange language. Zhao Fu naturally did not understand what they were saying, but he used his telepathic communication ability to understand what they were saying. "We pay our respects to great heavenly God. We are willing to find powerful prey to sacrifice to you and will obey all of your orders. Please do not harm us. Great heavenly gods really do exist in this world. They look so strange, but they're also so terrifying. They're like mountains floating in the sky, and they can instantly kill us. Great heavenly God, I'm willing to be your slave and forever be loyal to you. Please take me in, you won't regret it. Revered great heavenly God, my mother has fallen ill, and her condition is very serious. Please show me your powerful divine power and heal my mother. I'm willing to serve you forever." Ha ha ha, great heavenly God, I'm so happy to see you. This is the first time I've seen great heavenly God, and I'm extremely honored. Great heavenly God, I'm willing to serve you. I've never been touched by a man before, so please bestow upon me divine power. Great heavenly God has descended upon our tribe, so our tribe will be enshrouded by divine light. We'll definitely make sacrifices to make great heavenly God stay in our tribe. Zhao Fu heard these people. Perhaps to these primitive tribe people, any cultivator who could stand in the sky and give off a bit of power would be called great heavenly God. From what they knew, it was impossible for a person to stand in the sky, much less give off such a terrifying aura. The culture of the divine Tao was very unique. Even in a world where one could not cultivate or where there were no gods, there would still be many people who believed in the existence of gods. Anything that they could not recognize or understand would be viewed as God. The immortal Tao, Buddhist Tao, demonic Tao, and demon Tao would not be able to do this. They were all things that would only be born after a period of development. Zhao Fu looked at them continuously kneeling, and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. He casually waved his hand, and a wave of 10,000 deities' power spread out, and a ray of light descended upon the tribe. The people in the tribe could clearly feel that their injuries were quickly disappearing, and their strength had become stronger than before. Their mental state had also become better, and it was completely different from before. Chapter 2387. Lord God, Lord God, Lord God, Lord God. Now that they had personally sensed Zhao Fu's divine power, many people excitedly cried out. Their voices were so loud that they could be heard even from far away. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and turned into a ray of light as he flew away. These people were from the primitive age, and Zhao Fu did not have much intention of interacting with them. That would simply be a waste of time. Even though Zhao Fu needed people, this place was quite far away from the Heaven Awakened world, and Zhao Fu could not bring these people back to Qin. Devouring a world that did not have the ability to cultivate would not be very beneficial. After Zhao Fu left, the tribe's people still knelt on the ground and called out Lord God. Only after a while did they get up, and they had people paint the walls to record the Lord God's descent. Zhao Fu had only given these people a bit of divine power, which was quite insignificant to Zhao Fu. In fact, Zhao Fu would soon forget about it. However, Zhao Fu's 10,000 godly power was a perfect sovereign's power, and even though it was quite weak, it had a great impact on these people who did not know how to cultivate. Their constitutions became stronger, their life force became stronger, and there was a trace of divine power in their bloodlines. To ordinary people who cultivated, this was quite weak. However, to those who did not know how to cultivate, it was a massive advantage. With this, the tribe's people could fight 3 people at once and live longer. Right now, they did not know about these benefits, and only later did they understand how mighty the Lord God they had met was. He had given them such terrifying power, and they felt incredibly grateful. They called themselves the God race and revered Zhao Fu as the God ancestor. They built temples and worshipped him for generations to come. In the future, they might become the most powerful race in this world and attack other tribes, becoming an even more powerful faction, and they might even be able to establish their own kingdom. This was something that would only happen in the future, and there was no need to say anything more. The matter of them meeting Zhao Fu would become a legend. Zhao Fu continued to fly forwards and looked at the various things in this world before stopping above a massive lake. This lake was very big, and it was over 10,000 kilometers wide. The water was blue, and the surface of the lake was very calm, seeming like a mirror that reflected the blue sky and white clouds. There were mountains all around it, and the scenery was quite beautiful. However, there was a fatal danger here, as there was a toad-like creature that was hundreds of meters long at the bottom of the lake. It was impossible to cultivate in this world. When faced with such a large creature, there was no way to resist at all. There was only death. There was not even the thought of resisting. Of course, this was not dangerous to Zhao Fu at all, as he could crush it with a single hand. Zhao Fu glanced at it and saw that it was incredibly terrified as it crawled at the bottom of the lake. Its body trembled, and it did not dare to move in fear that Zhao Fu would kill it. This was the first time it had encountered such a terrifying existence. Zhao Fu was quite surprised that there would be such a large creature in a world where one could not cultivate. He sensed its existence, so he came over to take a look. The toad's power was not very strong to Zhao Fu, and it seemed to contain some monster race bloodline. Apart from that, there was nothing special about it. After seeing this primitive world, Zhao Fu had some understanding of it, and he smiled as he said, "Let's leave." Following this, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden left this unknown world. Why did it become an unknown world? This was because Zhao Fu did not know what kind of race this was, nor did he know what kind of world it was. In the boundless void there were not just a few races, there were many races. The human race, demon race, monster race, water race, spirit race, outlander race, god race, and ghost race were the 8 races that were relatively more numerous in the boundless void. There were also many of these 8 races in the celestial realm. The human race was a branch of the human race, and as such a large race, they would have more benefits than some smaller races. In terms of fate, the large races would definitely be very powerful and would not be easily destroyed. However, it was hard to say for the smaller races. Boom! Half a day later, a massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu slew a massive star beast with a single sword strike. He went up and took out the star core and was about to leave with the spirit maiden. Suddenly, a young man appeared in the sky. This young man wore white clothes and had delicate and pretty features. His eyes were like the pupils of a dragon, and even though he looked quite young, his eyes seemed to have experienced a lot and gave off the might of a mighty figure. After the young man appeared, his eyes fell on Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu's heart tightened, and he became cautious. He did not understand why a mighty figure would suddenly appear here, and he did not know what race he was either. Luckily, he had the celestial concealment token, which could hide all of his aura. "Sir, what business do you have with me?" Zhao Fu and the spirit maiden bowed respectfully. Facing an existence of this level, Zhao Fu could not resist at all, and he could only choose to be obedient. Moreover, this mighty figure seemed to be even more powerful than ordinary mighty figures. The young man looked at Zhao Fu and said calmly, "I passed by this place and saw that your talent is not bad. Are you willing to be my disciple?" Zhao Fu inwardly breathed out, so he wanted to take him as a disciple and did not have any ill intentions. However, Zhao Fu's talent was not just not bad. It surpassed the heavens and earth and shook the 3 great kiliacosm. It could even shake the celestial realm. Now, Zhao Fu was using the celestial concealment token to hide himself, and this Qin could only see that he was not simple. This was enough to show that the mighty figure was not simple, as ordinary mighty figures could see through everything. The celestial concealment token was something that a peak half-celestial had given to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not think too much about it and refused. Even though having a mighty figure as his master would give him a powerful backer, Zhao Fu had too many secrets that he did not want to divulge. Moreover, Zhao Fu did not know much about mighty figures. How could he just take someone as his master? Moreover, he was not used to calling someone as his master. Ever since he started cultivating, Zhao Fu had always been alone and did not need a master. The young man was a bit surprised and looked at Zhao Fu. "Since you don't want to, I won't force you. This is my token. If you change your mind, you can go to the Black Tortoise half-immortal world to find me." Saying that, the young man threw a jade pendant over. Zhao Fu was startled and reached out to catch the jade pendant. The jade pendant was cyan in color and had a few half-dragon and half-snake creatures carved on it. The 2 words Black Tortoise were written in the middle, and it was emitting a faint light. This jade pendant was a mighty figure, so it was impossible for Zhao Fu to refuse. Otherwise, he would not be giving face and would be courting death. However, this mighty figure was indeed powerful. He came from the half-immortal world. Zhao Fu felt that he could ask him about the half-immortal world and the crack to the immortal world. Perhaps he would know some information. Chapter 2388. Zhao Fu thought about it and asked, "I wonder if Senior can find a crack to the immortal world or an uninhabited half-immortal world?" The youth said calmly, "What's the use of these things?" Zhao Fu replied, "I need a large amount of immortal energy." The youth looked at Zhao Fu and didn't continue asking. He said calmly, "It's extremely difficult to find an uninhabited half-immortal world. Not only are people from the Great Thousand World looking for it, but people from the half-immortal world are also looking for it. As for the crack to the immortal world, I know of a few. However, it's a forbidden area in the endless void. Time and space are chaotic and laws collapse. It's extremely dangerous. Even immortals might lose their lives there. When Zhao Fu heard that there were a few cracks to the immortal world, he was pleasantly surprised. However, when he heard that it was so dangerous, Zhao Fu's expression turned serious. Finally, he said decisively, "Senior, please tell me the location." The youth took out a circular jade disc and threw it to Zhao Fu. "This is a map of the endless void. There are many things recorded on it, including the location of the forbidden area." Zhao Fu caught the jade disc and his consciousness entered it. A huge map of the stars appeared in front of him. There were many different information recorded on it, such as the name of the place, which places were extremely dangerous, and which creatures lived in those places. This was very important to Zhao Fu. With this map, Zhao Fu wouldn't need to move forward aimlessly. He could choose to explore. The map was also very precious. Even a supreme expert would need hundreds of years to explore such a large area of the endless void and record all sorts of information. "Many thanks, Senior." Zhao Fu bowed gratefully. The youth said calmly, "You're welcome. Is there anything else? If there is, I can help you as much as I can." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "There's nothing else. I'll have to trouble Senior." The youth said, "Then I'll leave first." The map also has the location of the Black Tortoise half-immortal world. If you have anything, you can go there directly. Zhao Fu nodded. The youth's body disappeared like a phantom, as if he had never appeared. Zhao Fu couldn't help but smile. This time, his luck was quite good. Even though that higher being seemed cold, he felt quite good. If he had encountered a bad higher being, he might have been captured by that higher being. Now that he had the map, Zhao Fu's consciousness entered the jade disc and carefully looked at the map. Zhao Fu found the location of the Black Tortoise half-immortal world on the map. In addition to the Black Tortoise half-immortal world, there were hundreds of other half-immortal worlds. A few hundred half-celestial worlds sounded like a lot, but this boundless void was thousands of times bigger than the Heaven Awaken world, so it was quite small. This map only recorded the image of the endless void. It was just this piece of the map, not the entire endless void. No one knew how big the real endless void was. The half-immortal worlds on the map were basically all highly dangerous. The number of almighty experts and half-immortals were quite high. There were even immortals. Zhao Fu definitely had to avoid these places. Right now, he was only an Emperor Heaven Realm cultivator, and would not be able to defend against these saint-grade factions. Back to the main topic. Zhao Fu had already found the locations of the celestial world's cracks on the map, and there were 4 in total. The first was a massive crack, which was formed by the collision between the celestial world and the boundless void. It was the most dangerous place. Not only were there space-time chaotic flows and collapsing laws, but there were also powerful celestial beasts that might run out. Those were celestial beasts from the celestial world and had powerful celestial world source energy. Even immortals might not be a match for celestial beasts, and even higher beings could be instantly killed. The other 3 were formed by battles that surpassed the celestial level. They were also incredibly dangerous, and the remnant energy ripples could easily kill a higher being. Half-immortal worlds were incredibly difficult to find, so Zhao Fu first looked at the celestial world's crack. Zhao Fu planned to go to the least dangerous places to have a look. Right now, he could only take a look. Zhao Fu was simply too weak, and he could die at any moment if he went in. A few days later, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden arrived at the first crack, the Burning Spirit Forbidden Area. This place was covered by a massive orb of flames, and it was incredibly big, as if they were standing in a world of flames. Standing in front of this place, Zhao Fu felt incredibly small. The temperature here was extremely high, and the surrounding void twisted and crumbled. Even from very far away one could feel this heat. If an ordinary person went in, they would instantly be vaporized, leaving nothing behind. Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden had already released defensive barriers to resist the terrifying heat. They were only at the edge of the forbidden area, so Zhao Fu could still resist. "Let's go in," Zhao Fu said to the Spirit Maiden. The Spirit Maiden nodded, and the two of them entered as if they had been devoured by the flames. After entering the forbidden area, the void around them was burning with countless flames. Zhao Fu didn't continue onward. Instead, he started to sense the surroundings. Zhao Fu's idea was to find a relatively stable place in the forbidden area and set up a 10 abyss earth transfer formation there, as well as a spatial connection formation. The 10 abyss earth transfer formation's function was to gather the power of an area and transfer it to another area. However, this place was extremely far away from Qin City, so he needed to set up a spatial formation to connect this space to Qin City's space. That way, the spiritual power here could be injected directly into the heaven realm. After sensing their surroundings, even though the flames here contained immortal power and were a type of immortal flame, they were still a little too weak. Furthermore, this place was in a state of chaos and collapse, so there was no way to set up any formations. After that, Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden continued onward. Roar! A massive explosion sounded as a massive flaming lion appeared before Zhao Fu, charging toward Zhao Fu and the Spirit Maiden with terrifying power. Xing! Zhao Fu took out the emperor-killing sword and vigorously slashed out, sending out a massive sword light towards the fire lion with shocking power. Boom! Even more ferocious flames erupted around the fire lion's body, and a massive wave of heat spread out, causing the surrounding space to seem to burn. The sword light that Zhao Fu had slashed out also seemed to burn, turning into motes of light and dissipating. The massive fire lion gave off immense heat and ferociously charged at Zhao Fu, as if it could not stop it at all. Xing, xing, xing! Zhao Fu didn't believe it and swung his sword, sending out a few more sword lights that contained shocking power and massive sword winds towards the fire lion. Bang! 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 Just like the previous sword light, the few sword lights were set ablaze before they could even reach the fire lion. After that, a few muffled sounds rang out before they turned into countless specks of light and dissipated. The sword winds also dispersed, unable to harm the fire lion at all. Chapter 2389. Zhao Fu's expression fell. This was only the outskirts of the forbidden area, and yet the flame lion was already so powerful. This was not a place that Emperor Heaven Realm experts should be in. However, Zhao Fu did not plan to give up and directly used his most powerful power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a divine power that surpassed the heavens and earth exploded out from Zhao Fu's body. In that instant, space seemed to freeze as if it had been locked down by divine power. Zhao Fu's hair gave off a rainbow light and gradually became transparent like crystal. An ancient mirror appeared on his forehead, and his black cloak seemed to be dyed by light, turning into a holy white cloak, and his body gave off a rainbow divine light. By now, the flame lion had reached Zhao Fu and opened its massive mouth as it bit towards Zhao Fu, causing a wave of heat to sweep out. Boom! Zhao Fu did not move at all as the ancient mirror shot out a terrifying ray of light. It was incredibly fast and instantly pierced through the flame lion's body, drawing out a thin crystalline line as the flame lion's body exploded into flames. Spirit Maiden looked at Zhao Fu with a look of shock. It was the first time she had seen Zhao Fu temporarily use this power that could rule over the god world. Zhao Fu did not say anything and his expression was cold. After entering this 10,000 god state, he seemed to have lost all emotions and his aura became ethereal and illusory. At that moment, Zhao Fu's body floated forwards, and Spirit Maiden followed by his side. Roar! 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 Massive roars sounded out as the flames in the surroundings continuously gathered, forming massive flame beasts. They were covered in ferocious flames and gave off massive power as they rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's body stopped and a massive wave of power entered the ancient mirror on his forehead. Divine runes lit up and a terrifying ripple spread out. Swish, 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 the sound of the air being torn could be heard as the small ancient mirror shot out tens of thousands of rays of light, giving off world-destroying power. They shot forwards, causing space to be torn apart. Bang! 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 The rays of light contained terrifying power as they instantly pierced through the fire beasts' bodies, causing them to explode. Flames flew everywhere as ripples spread out. The group of fire beasts was instantly dealt with by Zhao Fu. The powerful fire beasts had no ability to resist in front of Zhao Fu. In this state, Zhao Fu was too terrifying. Zhao Fu's expression was cold as he continued to float forward. A sea of flames appeared in front of Zhao Fu. It was white and the flames swayed, looking like waves. It looked like a real ocean, and it gave off a terrifying heat. The surrounding void had already become blurry, like a layer of mist covering a piece of glass, forming an invisible resistance. Even without the sea of fire, it was difficult for people to advance, as if they were stuck in a quagmire. There were already a few people standing in front of the sea of white flames. Their bodies gave off the aura of a divine bloodline, and they were quite powerful. They were most likely holy sons of Saint-class factions. Zhao Fu's arrival caused their expressions to immediately change. Their gazes all focused on Zhao Fu. This was the first time they had felt such terrifying divine power. A well-built and honest-looking young man said in a low voice, "Who is he? How does he have such terrifying divine power?" The beautiful woman next to him shook her head. "I'm not sure. I don't think I've seen him before. He shouldn't be someone from a nearby Saint-class faction." Another young man wearing a long robe said, "This person is definitely not simple. We all have void realm cultivation and are holy sons, but we all feel immense pressure in front of this person." A handsome young man said, This person is indeed very terrifying. The divine power he grasps is even stronger than ordinary celestial power. I personally feel that he's even more terrifying than that fairy Hao Dao." There was also a young girl with a pure aura who looked shocked. "No way. Hao Dao is a fairy from the celestial world and has an origin bloodline. Her power is many times more terrifying than ordinary holy sons. With his identity, most Saint-class factions don't dare to offend him. Isn't it a bit too exaggerated to compare him to you?" The honest-looking young man who had spoken first had a serious expression. "I also feel that he's even more terrifying than fairy Hao Dao. Sense carefully. He seems to surpass everything and is not bound by any laws. He's ethereal, illusory, untouchable, and undetectable." Hearing this, everyone sensed and felt shocked. The beautiful woman said, "It's true, this person is even more terrifying than fairy Hao Dao." The handsome young man looked at Zhao Fu seriously. "Then what is this person's identity? Why did he come to this forbidden area? The sudden appearance of such a terrifying person is no small matter." The long-robed young man said seriously, "He's even more terrifying than ordinary fairies. He definitely comes from a terrifying place in the celestial world. How can there be such a terrifying person in the lower realm? It seems that his goal is the same as ours. Even though this is a forbidden area and is extremely dangerous, there are cracks to the celestial world here. The celestial chi that flows out can nurture extremely powerful treasures. I've also heard that back then 2 unknown and terrifying experts fought here. One of them chopped off the other's arm, and that's how the Burning Spirit Forbidden Land is formed. If anyone can obtain that arm, they will have unimaginably terrifying power and will definitely be a supreme treasure. However, no one has ever obtained it, not even celestials." The pure-looking young woman said, "I've heard of this legend before, but that person's goal shouldn't be that arm. His cultivation is only at the Emperor Heaven realm, so it's impossible for him to obtain that arm. I feel that his goal is the same as ours. He came here to gain experience and obtain some precious treasures. The beautiful woman lightly laughed. Should we go and greet him and see just who he is? The honest-looking young man shook his head. I think we shouldn't. I'm quite afraid of him. Look at him. He seems to have wiped out all of his emotions. If we go over rashly, we might be killed by him. The handsome young man said, this person's state is quite terrifying. Right now, that person's state is quite terrifying, and he seems to have transcended everything. He has no emotions, and he's leaning towards the heavenly Tao. Zhao Fu's body slowly floated over, and the spirit maiden followed behind him. The beautiful woman still wanted to come over and talk to Zhao Fu, so she looked at the people beside her and said, Are you really not going? It's rare for us to meet such a terrifying person. If we can befriend him, we'll receive unimaginable benefits. Don't forget that our goal is to become celestials and go to the celestial world. He's an existence that's even more terrifying than fairies, and we might need his help in the celestial world in the future. If you don't take this opportunity, don't regret it. Hearing this, the people who did not want to go could not help but feel tempted. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.